Państwa bardzo serdecznie. Ja się nazywam Wodek O, co to się stało?
We gotta jam out a little bit.
To jest to. Nic się nie stało. It's all good. It's all good. Zaczniemy po polsku, żeby się przywitać z Państwem. Ale audycja odbędzie się w języku angielskim, tak, Ryan?
Tak będzie.
Tak będzie, no właśnie. Czemu tak będzie?
Bo cały czas narzekasz, że moje polskie nie jest wystarczająco dobre, żeby rozmawiać z twoją żoną. I przez to, Władek, ja muszę powiedzieć, że jestem tak wstydliwy, że chyba odmawiam z Polski audycję do koniec świata. Nie będzie już Ryan po polsku.
Więc jak widzicie, Ryan sobie nie radzi z polskim świetnie. Nie, to nie, bo to zaraz powiesz, że ja jestem niemiły czy coś, a w ogóle nie jestem niemiły. Wydaje mi się, że jestem bardzo miły.
Nie, jesteś
Przejdźmy na angielski.
No problem.
Let's switch to English, okay?
That's my pleasure.
Is that okay for you? Is that okay for everyone?
Listen, I've been living in Poland for like 12 years now.
12 years now.
And being here with you in Krakow is always special because this is my spot. This is the place where I fell in love with the country, where I fell in love with my wife, and, you know, where I really discovered Polish culture. And there was a long time that speaking Polish for me was not even a matter of pride, but a matter of proving myself to be kind of above other foreigners here. You know, I had a really serious complex, and I kind of wanted to have a deeper connection and a more provable connection with Polish society. So had you met me actually you did meet me like 5 years ago, but if you met me, let's say like 7 years ago,
right, I
would have definitely forced myself to speak Polish here just to kind of prove that
that you can do
I
it.
Loved Poland. Not even that I loved Poland more than the other foreigners here.
That love of yours for Poland is something that I don't understand fully, but that's something we can work on this show. And actually, thanks for coming on the show, by the way. And
it's an honor.
Driving or taking the train.
Dude,
took a train.
You know that I don't have a car,
right? You're actually
I don't
to
drive
buy one tomorrow.
Well, I might buy a car tonight, and that's kind of spontaneous. But the whole reason I'm in this situation of not having a car is because of the last time I bought a car.
Right.
I bought it also spontaneously, and it didn't work to my advantage.
Well, you can always ask me for an advice because I'm pretty good in buying cars, although I may not be.
Your car is quite ridiculous. It's cool.
It's an American car.
No, not the. Oh, is that American?
No,
the little two-seater.
The little one is German, I think. Yeah, it is German, but the big one is American. Yeah, it is. But we're not going to talk about cars.
Well, listen,
we're going to talk about why are Americans fat. This is one thing. We're going to try black accents on you.
We can do that.
Can you give us an example?
You know what? No, because I'm pissed off about this car thing, and I think that I should talk about it. I think people should know what happened to me.
With the previous one?
With the previous car.
The one you lost?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
People have seen this car in some videos that I've done and some photos, and they're, oh, Ryan drives that cool Audi. And
it wasn't a cool Audi.
Shut up.
It was A3.
It was awesome.
A3 from 2009?
For me?
It was
it was awesome. All right.
Okay.
Anyways, I had a Volvo before that.
What type?
S40? I don't remember. V70 or something like that. It was a station wagon.
Okay,
I bought it to tour with my band, and then I ended up working on YouTube, so I didn't need the car. But it was falling apart, and I just wanted to get rid of it. So I told my wife, I'm like, yo, tomorrow I'm getting rid of this car.
That's the way you speak with your wife? Yo, we need to buy a new car, mate.
Well, that's the way that I speak to you about my wife. Because actually I would be like, sweetheart, I love you so much. You know, I'm like very tender.
Yeah.
But in front of you, I want to be
Elvis Presley?
A guy's guy, you know. So I was like, yo. Yeah, but I told her, we got to get rid of this car. I don't want to pay insurance on this thing anymore. I'm going to get something different tomorrow.
Right.
So I went to a car company. I'm not going to say the name here because there are some legalities that I'm in the middle of.
Right.
And I went there and I was like, I don't want this car anymore. Show me something that's good. And they're like, we've got this Audi A3. It only has 20,000 kilometers.
20,000?
Only 20,000 kilometers.
How old was it?
And it was like 2008, I think. I don't know, it was like more than 5 years.
And you bought it?
Well, dude, it
A
was
5-year-old car with 20,000 kilometers on it?
It was too good to be true. I knew that, but it was beautiful.
It's just another case of you not asking me for advice. You should ask me for advice more.
Well, I'm not going to call you and be like, should I buy this car?
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should, because I would tell you not to buy this car, man.
Anyways, I did buy the car.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think twice about it. I took it to the audio service.
Are you an impulse shopper?
I hate shopping, and I hate shopping. So I just want to get it over with.
Right.
And I thought the same thing. I'm like, something is fucked with this car. Something is really wrong with this car. And I know it, and I was nervous. So I went to the official service, and I'm like, check into this and tell me if something's up. And they're like, this car is so good that we would buy it from you right now.
This car is so good that you would be a fool if you hadn't buy it. I would buy it if you wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, exactly. So for 2 years, I was driving this car, and I thought I got away with something, basically. I'm like, this is too good to be true.
Right.
But good for me, because finally I have a little luck in life. And then all of a sudden, someone knocks to my door from Urząd Skarbowy, and they're like, yo, we're here to take your car. And
why? Tell us why.
Well, because the car had zestaw skarbowy from the original owner. And the 5-year window was closing, and it doesn't matter that I possessed the car. It was actually the possession of Urząd Skarbowy, and they wanted to take back what was there. So it took me some time to process. At first, I was looking at them like the bad guys.
Right.
But the original owner of that car had tax problems. And instead of giving it back to the state, he was an asshole and he sold the car to someone else. And then they sold it to someone else. And then I bought it. So even the person who sold me the car.
So you think that when they sold you this car, they didn't know about this thing?
Who knows? Who knows? But if you want to check into that in Poland,
right,
you can't do it on the internet. You have to, it's like a physical application process and it takes time. So I could believe that a car dealership such as the one that I won't mention on your show maybe didn't even have the time to check it, but I got completely screwed.
Do you think you can mention it? You can even mention it on the show?
No, I don't want to because I have a legal thing.
Okay.
But now I'm the guy who's taking the train and walking, and that's okay. But that might change because I might buy a new car if my wife lets me. But I'm taking the spontaneous approach.
Do you actually know this site called Historia Pojazdu? I actually should say it in Polish, Historia Pojazdu. For those people not listening to the audio version, but the video, can see it right now. So you can type your license plates, your VIN number, and then the first date of registration, and you can check the mileage throughout the years. Did you know about this website?
I didn't know about that. I don't care about that because you can't check the tax.
I know. It's just something that came up in my head.
Oh, okay.
So I thought I would say it.
No, actually, I'm sorry. Now I'm coming off like a jerk. Actually, that's really good advice because you're trying to help me not get screwed again.
Well, the best advice I can give you is just call me next time.
The lawyer who represents the person who I'm in this situation with said that the statistics of buying a car that's in bad tax status is 1 in 20,000. So that's my life, actually. I mean, my life is ridiculous. Like, no matter what corner I turn, I'm the guy who buys a car that has the 1 in 20,000.
Is there another thing in your life that you look back to that was something of the same odds, like 1 in 200,000 or 20,000? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Well, there are plenty.
You meeting Kasia, or you coming to Poland, or you becoming managing director of YouTube something, MCN, or...
Oh, you don't know the name of my company? Or are you scared to say the name of my company?
Why would I be?
Because I was messing... Never mind.
No, you can say it. It's friends and family. Everyone watching here is friends and family.
All right, so I am the managing director of Mediakraft Networks in Poland, and I'm very proud of that. But Polish people... My
condolences, by the way.
Well, condolences accepted, I guess.
Yeah.
As we stream this through the CMS of Mediakraft.
Yes.
No, I mean, the thing is, people have a lot of different opinions on what we've done because we're kind of like, I don't know, exhibitionists in the sense that a lot of us appear on camera, and the nature of YouTube can lead to sometimes having disagreements that go public or misunderstandings. But the thing is, for those who have had criticism of myself or the company, most of them never met us. Do you know what I mean? Like most people,
right,
who are
critical of what
doing
you do.
craziness. No, I mean, criticism is okay. Criticism is welcome, in fact. But like belligerent lying or
isn't it the way
making up rumors? This
people
is
deal
problematic.
with business in Warsaw? Just belligerently lying.
No comment. No comment. No, most people.
Is it one of 20,000 cases, or is it more common than that?
I think people generally in business, they have to do what they have to do to survive. So sometimes, of course,
same goes for you.
There have of course been decisions that were really hard to make that needed to be made to survive, like canceling programs. We have a program called Tylko Historia, which I'm extremely proud of, and it wasn't like really commercially viable at a certain point. So we had to take this production offline. And the two guys who produce it are like some of my favorite people, and I'm very proud of what they've done. But I had to make a decision to cancel a really culturally valuable program that I respect.
Because it wasn't commercially successful.
Because it wasn't commercially successful. Exactly. And so, those type of decisions, I think any managing director would have to face. But in terms of like lying, cheating, things of that nature, I don't think in business you can get away with that in the long term, because it's going to catch you eventually in legalities or in reputation,
right?
Yeah. I mean, brands will not work with people who are,
you think so? I think they kind of will. I don't think it's a business problem. I think it's a moral one.
As long as we're talking about Mediakraft, and we can move on to something else. It's not a secret that in Germany, one of our partners there publicly made a video against the network. And it was
like a year ago or 2 years ago.
It was a while back, but it was pretty awful. It was an awful thing.
What did he say?
Oh, he was just upset about some of the things. I don't want to elaborate. People can find the video if they're interested in that. But the real disadvantage to a situation like that isn't even so much just the reputation of the company that's being attacked, but it's the reputation of an entire industry that people are working really hard to forge. Like, there are people I compete with, like take LifeTube, for example. I won't lie to you, man. I really respect what they've done for the industry here in Poland. Like they've kicked open some doors that helped new MCNs follow through. They were innovative in that regard. Mediakraft was founded in Germany, so we had a little bit of a head start in terms of developing skills and working in the MCN business. But locally here in Poland, of course, I respect even the people who I compete with. And I've said that multiple times. The other thing we get criticized for sometimes is that we're a quote unquote German company. And I'm sure
that doesn't work very well in Poland.
If we were looking in your chat.
So does this actually mean that I am under German capital?
It depends on how you look at it. Without getting into specifics, what I want to say about our attachment to Germany is that I think it's a little bit hypocritical to point the finger at us and say you're bad because you're a German company. But then at the same time, you go to the shopping center and you shop in the German shoe shop. You don't think twice about using the German phone company, for example.
T-Mobile?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit cryptic. I don't know.
I don't care. I mean, as long as I don't have any sponsorship, I can name any brand I want. As far as German capital goes, I think it does have a leg to stand on, meaning that if you own 75% of media outlets in Poland, that lets you in it doesn't mean that you control what they write, type, and produce in videos. It means that you can influence it if you want to. So when times come that require you to use your influence, you might want to use them. And I think that's what people are afraid of. I don't think that Germany is controlling media right now and telling them what articles they are supposed to write and what stories are they supposed to make and what type of political line they should invest in. But
I get your point totally, Władek. Yeah. And maybe it sounds funny being that I'm an immigrant in this country, but I'm totally
an immigrant as well, by the way.
You just the same as me, but you've lived here long enough to speak the language better. Yeah, you don't like that comparison. Okay, maybe we're different. But if Polish people want to point a finger at a German company that starts business in Poland, that actually creates jobs in Poland, they should follow that up by also shopping in Polish shops. Yeah. There's a galleria in Warsaw called Modo. I hope I pronounced that right. It's
Moda?
Moda, yeah. And the whole concept of that place, as far as I understand it, was to make a fashion center for Polish designers, brands, and companies. My wife and I, we shop in this place. They actually have really nice food court. There's a good burger place, and it's all Polish companies. And the first thing anyone notices when they go in to this shopping center is that it's completely devout of people. It's empty. And I want to know, where are the Poles when it comes to supporting Polish brands? In that case, that's a whole shopping center.
Have you heard the app Pola?
No.
So there's an app called Pola, which lets you use your smartphone as a scanner for this code, barcode, you call it, on every product. And then you see, is it a Polish product or is it an outside product? And that way you can choose products that are made in Poland.
No, this is cool.
Support Polish businesses.
This is actually very cool.
Yeah, so it is quite popular, but I don't use it. Yeah. So I have no review for you.
As I was coming down here to Krakow today, I was just looking out the train window and amazed at how much Poland has progressed in the time that I've been here. Well, in simple little ways, like I was thinking back to when I would take trains around Poland, like in the early 2000s, and people would be smoking like crazy in the corridor.
Trains have changed.
Everyone was standing up.
Trains have changed.
You know, here in Krakow, I showed you in Podgórze, the place where I used to live with my wife. It's funny how you pronounce
Polish names like Podgórze, or there's something else that I like. I know. I don't remember right now, but yeah.
Well, the point that I want to make basically is that Poland is really becoming an active member in the global community. And I mean, globalism is totally here. So if a company is registered in Delaware for tax benefits, but operating in Europe, or if a German company creates 50 jobs in Poland, I don't necessarily think that has to be a bad thing, but I totally would support the idea that Polish people will sustain their sovereignty, their national identity, and their culture, especially in things like music, television, video, art, things like that. I mean, when I was into music, the worst thing for me was the effects that I would see commercial music having inside of the Polish market. So you have like a set of Polish bands. You know, every fall in Studowa, another Polish name, there you go. Studowa. I hope I said it well. You'll have the same set of Polish bands. You have Hey, Happy Sad, Kult, Koma, maybe Renity Przemek will come. And then in the fall, it's another batch because the first batch is in the second of the same. And it's just like a rotation. And
so what you say is that Poland lacks new bands?
Polish people are vastly talented with creation.
What makes you say that?
Art. What makes me say that?
Yeah. How many Polish people have you met to say that? Or how many American people, for comparison?
I've been
or are you basing your opinion on just me?
You're Ukrainian, man.
Yeah. But I have
Ukrainian people are also pretty talented.
I have a Polish ID. So does that make me more Polish than Ukrainian? I don't know.
I'm Polish by law. Like I have Polish citizenship now.
So you have a Polish ID?
I have a Polish ID.
So you're Polish, I think.
I pay all my taxes here. I speak the language quite often. My youngest kid
did you
only
have to,
speaks
did you
Polish
have to pass a test to become like a Polish citizen, or you just apply?
When I went through the formalities of citizenship, there was not like a language test as there is today.
Oh, there is.
You had to write your biography, kind of your life history in Polish, but you could work on it. Yeah, I mean, I wrote the story.
My name is Ryan.
I didn't. I mean, I wrote the nicer parts of my life. I didn't, tell stories about like my drug addicted uncle or, shoplifting as a kid or any of the shenanigans. Or being dyslexic.
Dyslexic.
I definitely didn't mention
dyslexic.
Dyslexic.
Or being left-handed. Because then they would definitely not give you the ID.
Or being an atheist.
Are you an atheist?
I am an atheist. Yeah.
There's a lot of good atheists on the show, by the way.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. I didn't realize. I was always very respectful towards religion, and I would even say open to it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I don't regret admitting this. That was until I lived in Krakow. I never experienced living in a conservatively Christian place before.
Like Krakow.
And that kind of changed my perspective on things a little bit and made me realize that organized religion is not my thing.
Is it not your thing because you're an outsider and joining a club is just not your thing? Like with any club?
I think everyone wants to be a part of the club on some level.
Of what club? Of any club?
Of the human club.
Right.
I mean, we all, like, whether you're a kid or you're 35-year-old adult sitting in front of a camera now, hoping that there are people watching you, you look for some
recognition
and
becoming
acceptance.
A part of something. Yeah.
Something bigger. And
agreed.
Like with religion, I was baptized Catholic. I was brought up Catholic. My father was devout Catholic, so we were up in the church all the time. And
did that go along with his
lifestyle?
Yeah, his lifestyle, or not exactly.
Well, not really. I mean, he was a pretty severe alcoholic, and so I guess religion. We can elaborate more on him later if you want.
Yeah,
but religion, I think, for him was the redemption for his own demons, as I think it is for many people. But I can remember sitting in the church, and I did believe in Catholicism, and I would make these weird paradoxes in my head. Like I knew it was a sin to use God's name in vain or to make a promise to swear to God for something. And so I would make a promise in my head, like, I swear to God, I will lie to God. And then I would be kind of trapped because
I swear to God, I will lie to God.
So I would, in my mind, I would say that in my mind in the church, I would promise God that I will lie to you. Because I was curious.
How old were you?
Wow, 8 years old, 9 years old.
Because that doesn't really count, man, as a sin, I think. Because that's
I don't know if it's a sin or not. Because
communion.
if you promise God that you will lie to Him, then you definitely don't want to lie to God, right? But then you don't want to break a promise to God.
I don't think there is a way to lie to God because He sees everything that it's in your heart.
It could be. If God indeed exists. I don't know. Maybe I'm agnostic. Maybe that's fair. But the moment that I, let's say, left organized religion was a very specific moment. I was becoming a teenager, and my mother asked me to get confirmed.
What does it mean, get confirmed?
Like, confirmation.
I thought get confirmed means like get an HIV test or
No. It's a standard thing in religion. You just
I know what bierzmowanie is.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it's called confirmation in US.
And to be honest with you, at the time, I considered it. I was like, I hadn't been going much to church because I had lost the contact with my father. And
Because?
well, we can get to that later. But I told my mom I'll go to church and I'll check it. I'll see like if this will be a thing for me and maybe I will get confirmed. And so I went with my brother Eric, my little brother, and we went there. And when I walked into the church, the first thing I noticed, I'm wearing black today. I kind of like dressing in black. I've always been like that. But when I was a teenager,
every time I saw you, it was in black.
Yeah, I don't know, it looks nicer on me. But when I was a teenager, I had black hair. I had like makeup on my eyes. I looked very gothic. And when I walked into the church, people looked at me like Satan had entered the building. And I didn't understand because...
And that was at the age of how much?
I think I was like 16 or 17, and I didn't understand how the people in the church wouldn't accept me because I thought that was the place for acceptance. So I was really confused. And then that was the first time that I critically kind of listened to the different chanting and praying that was going on. I'd always done it, but I had never thought much about what I was doing. And at a certain point, I realized that within my immediate family, everyone but me, by the rules of the church, would go to hell. So my youngest brother was not baptized.
What do you mean by that? By the rules of you?
By the rules of the church, right? So my youngest brother was not baptized, and he was an atheist since the time he was a little kid. So like he was a little kid and he would say, I don't believe in God. And I was like, yo, you should not say that. So that's one way to go to hell. My mother had been divorced from my father and married another man. So she was living in sin. And I guess that this is also like pretty serious. You go to hell for that. My father, same situation, plus his other issues. And then my stepfather was a Jewish guy. And so he didn't even believe in Jesus. And so he was definitely going to be going to hell. And my other brother, Eric, had never had communion. So I was in the church and I was like, okay, so if every person in my family but me is definitely going to hell, then I didn't stop believing, but I was like, I would rather go to hell with them because heaven couldn't be heaven if I wasn't with my family. And so that was kind of a defining moment for me, just like...
For leaving the church?
For leaving organized religion. I didn't, in that moment, I didn't stop believing, but I was like, I would rather go to hell with my family than be away from them.
It's not the same story with me, but it's kind of similar that I might have been 12 or 13 that I just felt that organized religion is just stupid, that there's a lot of people taking everything for granted and not checking and not deliberating on anything and just believing in something that is just stupid. And I think for the longest time, for the next 10 years, I just thought that if you believed in God, you were some sort of delusional.
Yeah.
I really felt that it was a thing of being a delusional guy.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't justify it. Why would I believe in something that just doesn't exist? And me, things have changed.
Yeah.
And
well, that's the funniest.
I think life shows you, being a convert. I think you have to have life experiences that show you that things may end badly when you take a wrong turn once in a while. And I think that religion helps people in being a little bit more structured.
Yeah.
Not falling for easy targets and temptations and so on. And as far as, swearing or calling the God's name in vain, blah, 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 I think it's a joke because it's all about how you treat yourself and how you treat other people. And I think how you treat other people is more important than how you treat yourself. And that's actually the one test that people would either pass or fail in terms of being good or bad, is answering question how you treat other people.
Yeah.
Especially those that are closest to you and not those that you can gain something from. Because if you want something in return for your being good to them, then sorry, but it's not worth that much.
It's not worth the attention of God, actually.
Yeah.
If there is a God, and if you look, all you have to do right now is go outside. All you have to do is go outside and look at this, look at the sky. I mean, that shit never ends. Like that, you're looking at. Well, you're looking at infinity.
It does end.
It does not end.
Well, the sun is going to burn out. That is infinite. You know that?
The sun's going to burn out, but I'm talking about space. And when you look at vastness, I'm meaning space, you will be a fool to start declaring rules that there is no God or that this is possible, this is not, because the truth is, you, me, the people watching this.
You just said you were an agnostic or an atheist, so what's the deal with that?
I'm not into organized religion. That's mostly...
Oh, so it's you acknowledging there is something more than us, but at the same time, not in the name of a religion?
I wouldn't even go that far. I'm just saying that all you have to do is look at the sky and realize that you're basically insignificant and shouldn't be making such declarations in the infinity of space.
Right.
Maybe scientists can make like little tiny declarations, you know?
No, I think
because they spend more time on it. But
I think this thing goes two ways. So one is this scientific way of being amazed about how everything works, that the planets, the way our planet is tilted in the perfect way for the sun to shine and life to spread on Earth. And this is what scientists focus on. And the other thing is what I think religion focuses on is people intrinsic experiences about life. And those intrinsic experiences tend to be very confusing for a lot of people, like not knowing what does it mean, what does this mean, what does the way that he treated me mean, why do I feel like shit, why is everything okay in my life, I earn a lot of money but I'm not happy, why do I feel there is something missing? And I think that religion focuses on this side and tries to evolve us internally, like into better human beings. And at the same time, it is also defective in a way that if you don't understand the principles and look at it in this very superstitious way, you can take it to an extreme, like Islam. First example that pops in my head. But it's not, it's not a problem of Islam per se. Christianity had its share in murdering a lot of people as well. So
I think it's just safe to say that people have had their share in murdering a lot of people. Period.
In the name of something.
In the name of whatever.
In the name of something.
I mean, even without religion, in the name of the country.
Yeah, be it religion, be it country, be it a leader.
Yeah.
Be it but if you would to murder someone in the name of your family, what then?
Like, give me context.
Like, you see someone being a threat to your family, but not making any moves. Like, he's not being an aggressive person towards you, but he makes you feel threatened. Would that make you to,
Would that make murder right?
Maybe not murder. Murder is always very easy to, qualify as not right.
Yeah.
But, stabbing him and making him live, just stabbing him in the leg.
In America,
Right.
in most states, if you enter someone's house and you're not welcome there, meaning you broke in and you didn't even necessarily threaten anyone, the owner of that house could most probably shoot you.
And
dead.
get away with it?
What do you mean get away with it? They defended their family.
Not going to jail, getting away with that.
You had no business going into their house. That action was a threat to them. I'm not necessarily saying it's right.
What if I was... what if I had an ailment, like a psychiatric ailment, and I didn't know I was going into someone else's house, or I was just drunk and incidentally stumbled into his house, and then he shot me and killed me? Would that make him go to jail? Or
those are interesting scenarios, but different states have different laws. In Texas, for example, they are very liberal in terms of where you can shoot your gun and for what reason.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Chicago, the city of Chicago,
right,
they're a little bit more strict. But generally speaking, if you entered my house, I'm an American guy, and I have a gun in the house. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you're drunk. I don't know if you're sick. I don't know if you're confused. All I know is that I've got 2 kids in the house. I'm not saying I would personally elect to shoot you, but I also couldn't promise that I wouldn't. A few years back, my wife and I were in the States with our oldest daughter, Zuza.
In Chicago?
Oh, no, we were in New Jersey, in South Jersey. And my parents have this spot, like, it's pretty close to the ocean, and it's in the middle of the woods. And there are some neighbors, but everyone's kind of separated, so you have your own space. It's very nice. And Kasha was up, like, in the guest house. I was in the main house watching a movie. And we heard some gunshots. And I was really scared, you know. I didn't know, like, did Kasha just get shot? Like, what happened? But at the same time, I didn't want to just run outside and investigate because it was really close to the house, if not in the garage building where the guest space was. And so I called her on the phone, and she's like, yeah, I heard that too. Were those really gunshots? I'm like, yeah. We called the police. The police came, and the police are just like, oh, there was probably hunters. It's nothing to worry about. Everything's fine. And we're like, they were shooting, like there were gunshots like right outside the house. Don't worry about it. Okay. I called my brother, Eric. I told him about the situation, and he was like, oh, you're such a fucking pussy. You know, that's what you get for living in Europe. You're scared of guns now? And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm scared. They were shooting right outside the house. Like he's kind of acting like a tough guy. Next night, he comes over. My parents have a pool behind the house. We're swimming, joking around, and there's a fence surrounding this pool. Right outside the fence, there were gunshots. And in the way that you could actually see this flash, it was like one of the scariest things ever. And my brother wasn't so brave in that moment, by the way. I mean, we didn't know, was this guy shooting towards us? What was going on? So he had like his iPhone up on a rock, and he went and he called my mom, asked her to turn off the lights in the backyard. We just ran to the house as fast as we could, called the police. Police came back and were like, you have got to find this guy. Like, I have a little kid staying there. I don't want to get shot. I'm scared. And they're like, oh no, it's probably hunters. No big deal. Third night, we're watching a movie.
Same thing.
Shots outside the house again. Call the police. And I'm like, you fucking have to find them. Like, this is the third night. We're not making this up. Go talk to the neighbors. They talk to the neighbors, and the neighbors are like, yeah, that's right. Someone was shooting over by their house.
And the neighbors didn't call the cops?
Neighbors didn't call the cops.
That's just like normal for them?
Well, it was closer to our house, so maybe they actually thought someone was hunting.
Maybe they thought it was you.
We hear gunshots sometimes, like, yeah, maybe they thought it was us. It's possible. Because it's not uncommon to hear gunshots there, but like not near the house in this way. Anyways, we demanded and insisted that the cops go and find this guy. And they did. And when they returned, first they apologized for not believing me in the first place. And then they expressed concern. They said that he was completely drunk. He was in his underwear. He alluded to being the person who had been shooting the previous 3 nights, but they couldn't arrest him because he had papers for his guns and he wasn't caught in the act. And the worst part is they said, if this happens again, declare that it's the house on Lenape, because that guy has more guns than we do. and we have to bring support with us. So then you try going to sleep without a gun, or you question why Americans wouldn't be quick to shoot someone entering their house. I mean, that's really, really scary. And that's one of the things I like about living here.
Yeah, that's strange for me, growing up in Poland, hearing stories like that, of guns getting fired and people being so afraid of each other. Because the first time I went to America, I think it was in 2008, I visited my mom's friend, a lady, who let me stay at her house. And she told me once that it's very uncommon to just go to someone else's house and just pop in and say hi.
Yeah.
It's very uncommon. I was like, why is that uncommon? Why would that be uncommon? If she said that even if I had a very good friend, it wouldn't be okay for me to just, walk up to his house and say, hey, I'm at your house. Can you, open the door? That would be like very, very strange. Why is that?
Like you said, there is an element of paranoia, but I also think that...
Is there a cause for this paranoia among people?
Visiting your friend, I don't think is that big of a deal.
So she was a bit...
Like just popping in on your friend.
Overreacting?
Yeah, I think so. But we are very wary of strangers. The first time that I came to Poland, I went to a town called Stromowce-Niżne. I hope I said it well enough for you.
Stromowce-Niżne?
Pan Władimir. Yeah. And I was looking for distant relatives. I was in the cemetery, and my mother had sent these people some photos of us. These are like, maybe we were connected by some great-great-great-grandpa. And I hadn't really eaten much in a few days. And believe me, I was looking weird in the middle of this Polish town with the black hair and stuff. And this old woman...
I tried to find a photo of you.
I don't think you will.
With long hair, and there isn't one.
Yeah, I don't think you'll find a picture like that. No, I don't think you'll find one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyways, they invited me into their home and said I could stay there and that they would feed me. And I agreed because I was starving and I needed a place to stay.
Right.
But honestly, Władek, I was scared out of my mind. I was like, I don't know if these people are going to kill me. I don't know what they have planned. It was the weirdest thing. And one of the things, and I've said this before on other shows, that's one thing that I really value about life in Poland. That you could go over to someone's house, they'll give you something to eat. They might not even necessarily know you, but the country isn't filled with crazy lunatics and killers and stuff like that.
I don't think it's an American thing to be afraid of people that you walk into houses. That, if I were to visit someone that I don't know, have never met, I would be a little bit scared as well.
Skeptical.
Skeptical is a better word. Not scared. I wouldn't be scared. I would be skeptical. Just to keep it on the safe side.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah,
naturally. We've taken it to extremes. I used to make this show called Przyjito. And we would go on different challenges, but there's Artur. He makes a channel Tabowe Dycha.
Right.
So him and he had this. I'm sorry, Artur, I love you, but it was a stupid idea to go fishing in the Baltic Sea. And we organized some boat, woke up at like 3 a.m, drove down there in a taxi to the port. It was raining, it was cold. And in my mind, I thought we were going to like a fishing boat where they would have like, hot chocolate, a little restaurant. Like I thought it was more like a tourist thing.
Right.
But this was like a small fishing boat that looked like it would sink. And everyone had, they were well dressed and well prepared. And here we are showing up like with some video cameras for fun. And we elected not to go because we thought we would freeze and starve. But we were stuck in this port. There was no way to get back. So the security guard working there offered us a ride to Gdańsk. And on the way, he was like, yo, there's my house. That's what he said. He was like, yo, there's my house. And you guys can come in and have breakfast with me if you want. And we had the cameras going, so we're like, sure, why not? And we went into this complete stranger's house. We were videotaping all of his stuff. He made us breakfast. We joked. When he heard that we were going fishing, He thought we were the stupid. Like, he looked confused. Like, how stupid can you be to just show up dressed like that to go fishing? But he was a complete stranger. He made us breakfast. By the time we got back to the hotel, everyone else was just waking up. We had this huge adventure, but nothing bad happened. He was really, nurturing, I would say.
So what's the deal with guns in the States? Because one of the reasons you say Poland is superior, if I may use this word, to the US, is that it's safer. And for us, people living in Poland, safer doesn't mean much, because we're pretty safe, and we haven't seen the extremes. And safety is not on my list of stuff that I worry about.
Yeah,
because I always felt safe. So have there been times in the States that you haven't felt safe? I mean, apart from the incident in Jersey, you said earlier.
Oh, there were many occasions in my life, also involving guns. I mean, here in Poland, I think like getting your ass kicked is a realistic
at school
possibility. Just walking down the street, like you could just be walking down the street and some football hooligans might kick your ass, but it's rare that they would kill you. The problem is that in America, guns are always involved. So the outcome is much more scary and much more lethal. Yeah, there were several occasions.
So you're not a fan of
guns.
Legalizing
in Poland?
Yeah, gun ownership. And
I am out of here if that happens.
Really?
Definitely. I love Polish people, but look at how they drive cars. I don't want to see them having guns.
How do we drive? Too fast? Or
Polish drivers are fast and aggressive, And
it's not the same in the States?
People are too afraid of the police in the States to drive like that.
Because of the tickets, or because the
police won't
how you get handled
that.
by the police?
The police don't tolerate. I mean, there's no talking to them. They'll give you a ticket right away, and they will catch you.
Right.
In Poland, you can kind of talk to the police.
Is it the way they portray these situations in movies? Is it the same in real life? I mean, you get pulled over, policeman walks up and says like, give me an ID, and the first the second you badmouth him or say something that he doesn't like, he may handcuff you. I don't know. And put you in jail just because
you've perfectly described how it is to be stopped by the police. You don't know if you're going to end up going to jail, especially if you're black, by the way.
Like you? Is it because I'm black? Is it because I'm black?
No, I'm black in my heart, but my skin is white.
Have you seen this LG episode?
No.
Like, he's white, and one of the questions was, is it because I'm black?
Yeah, but with the police, that's goddamn serious. They will take you right to jail, and I can prove that. I mean, my mother, sweet lady, she's kind of like a hippie. She's been to jail. You know why?
No.
Because she got into a car accident that was not her fault. She called the police, insisted we have to call the police. We have to do the right thing. Police came, and in America we have to have our emissions checked every year. It's kind of like the stamp that you get once a year in Poland for your car. Similar idea. I think
it's the same thing in Poland. Just not a lot of people do that.
Yeah. Well, in Poland, your insurance is not valid if you don't do it. But anyways, my mom did it fine, everything good. But she sold a car, and the person who bought it after didn't register. I don't know exactly the details, but her previous car had not been checked for emissions. So the police officer arrested her and took her to jail.
Really?
Single mother of 2 children.
How long?
Until her doctor friend came and bailed her out.
How long? How many days?
I don't actually know. No, it wasn't days.
Hours?
It wasn't days. It was like the day.
That day. Okay. The next day?
Processed.
Did she spend the night?
I don't think so. People normally get you out, but if you don't have money for bail.
Oh, so you have to pay bail?
You're not going out. Yeah, of course. If you get arrested, you have to pay bail.
How much is it? Like $200 or
That's a good
$2,000?
question. I actually don't know.
You should ask her.
I actually don't know.
I'm curious.
But every person in my family has been arrested.
Really?
Yeah. My stepfather.
Apart from you, or?
No, I've been arrested too.
For what? Possession of illegal substances?
My criminal record said it was criminal vandalism to a hand railing.
Wow.
So I was...
That's hardcore, man. That's gangsta shit right there.
But they always write it in the way that makes it sound so bad.
Yeah.
The truth is...
What did you do?
I was skateboarding, you know? And it was, okay, granted, that wasn't the right thing to do. It was on the porch.
Skateboarding wasn't the right thing to do?
No, skateboarding is fine. But we were on the porch of a funeral home.
Uh-huh.
And there was a funeral happening inside. We didn't pay it much interest. Actually, I wasn't skateboarding. I was on rollerblades. But I went down the hand railing, you know, as you do. And thought nothing of it until the police came. And, excuse me, boys, were you skating at the funeral home? And I thought, well, you should always be honest to police and respectful. I said, yes, sir. You're under arrest.
Really?
Took us to jail. Yeah. My stepfather got arrested for the same reason my mother did. But his story, it's pretty funny because it was Christmas Day. And he just had enough of the party. So, like, he went just to, like, have some time to himself, and he was sleeping. And they took him to jail on Christmas Day. And the best thing, he's a doctor. So when you're a doctor, if you get arrested, you have trouble like with practicing, you know, you have to explain the situation. So it was really uncomfortable for him. And my two brothers, they got arrested. I think they deserved to get arrested for what they did. But
is it more hardcore than your trailblazing?
I hope they don't mind me sharing this. It's in English so they could see it, but
we'll keep it simple. We'll keep it.
My youngest brother, Alex,
under the radar.
For a lack of better words, there's no good way to spin the story. He threw a bottle of piss out of a bus window into a car. So he got arrested for that. And he went to Scared Straight. So they took him to the jail.
To what?
It's a program called Scared Straight.
Scared?
Scared Straight. And the idea is that you take young criminals, delinquents, and you scare the living shit out of them by taking them to jail. And the prisoners yell at you, "Oh yeah."
There's a movie called Scared Straight.
Yeah, but look at the images here.
You wanna see the images?
Yeah, you should show. It'll give the idea. You see this one right here.
Which one? The third one?
The third one. That's the idea. So they take you, like the young guy who's done some crime, and they take you to the criminals in the jail, actually in the prison.
Really?
And they scare you, and they're like...
Is that legal?
Yeah, it's a program.
It's a program.
He had to do some community service.
And those guys that are doing the scaring...
Dude, I don't know.
Are they volunteering for this kind of work, or are they getting paid?
I don't think they're being paid. I bet you it's a form of entertainment for them. I mean, they really... Look at that.
Isn't that like a traumatic thing for those kids?
My brother said the most traumatic part of it wasn't actually the prisoners, but it was the other kids he was with at the program.
To see them?
No, because the kids were so bad.
Oh.
He just threw a bottle of piss out of the bus window on his way to school.
And they did what?
Oh, you know, dealt drugs. Got caught with a gun. Like actually... bad things. So I don't think it was necessary in his case, but it's what happened. And then my other brother, I think I can tell this story because it's kind of a good story. It's a completely stupid thing to do, but he and his best friend were driving around with an airsoft gun. You know what that is? Like
small bullets?
Yeah, it's like it shoots like either plastic bullets or...
Wiatrówka.
Takie wiatrówka.
Wiatrówka.
Yeah, something like that. And it was really idiotic, but his friend was a soldier.
It looks like a real gun to me.
Yeah, and see, in America, you can't play around like that because if someone sees you with this or if a police sees you with this, that's enough to get you shot. But they were shooting cars. And one driver didn't react so well.
So you guys must have a lot of jail room for all those people. Right? If it's so common to throw people in jail, you must have a lot of jails.
So the jail is the place you go before your trial.
Right, I know.
Yeah. The prison, that's the place that we have a lot of. So the jails are like super crowded. That's apparently the worst place to be. When I went, I got arrested in like in a town called Libertyville. So it's just like rich white people, nothing to worry about. There was no one else even in the jail.
Mm-hmm.
But when my littlest brother got arrested, it was in Atlantic County, New Jersey, one of the poorest counties in the United States. And so I don't know what his jail experience was like actually, but if you get convicted, then you're going to prison. And that's a huge industry in the United States. Yeah, you see a lot of people get locked up.
Yeah, there is almost 2.5 million people in jail. No. Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
I don't know the exact statistic, but it's something outrageous.
It's a lot.
It's outrageous.
And isn't it the way that prisons are structured? I mean, them being private. Are prisons in the United States private or public?
There are privatized prisons, and there have been scandals.
Yeah,
where judges have been in bed.
Right.
With, one specific that I know about was a juvenile detention center.
And that
so jail
sucks.
For kids.
And that sucks. If I was a case of someone incarcerating me because he wants to make money.
Could you imagine?
Because of me, that would suck. Dude, balls.
I have a hard time paying, like, the parking meter that I know is private in the city streets. Like in Chicago.
Really?
In Chicago, they sold all of the street parking spots to a private company. And so I was like, this is bullshit. Why should I park here? And like, are the police going to enforce it?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine, how do you go to prison that is private? This doesn't even make sense to me. And there are people locked up. There are a lot of people locked up in America who, in my opinion, could do community service or are no threat to society. Like, I don't use any drugs. I don't condone drugs. But if you're a drug user, I'm not saying a dealer, but if you use drugs, I don't think that should be a prisonable offense.
Same here. I'm all for depenalizing drugs. I mean, the mild drugs mostly. I don't have a firm opinion on cocaine and heroin.
It's bad.
But as far as MJ goes, I think it should be depenalized. Is this a word in US? Depenalized?
More like decriminalized.
Decriminalized, right? Decriminalized.
Yeah, man.
Because if someone wants to smoke something in his own home, and he's not doing any harm to anyone, and this being less harmful than alcohol, then man. But the thing with weed, comparing it to alcohol, is that I think it's much harder to dose it, because you know that you can drink 2 or 3 beers before you get drunk, and you may get stoned without knowing how much you smoked. I think is this a problem, or am I exaggerating?
I have never tried marijuana. I've never been drunk. So I've
never been drunk.
I've never been drunk.
Why is that? Because of your dad?
Well, yeah, that was an element, but like I always kind of looked at drug users as I don't want to offend anyone too much here, but I've always looked down upon drug users.
Really?
Put it like that.
Like all drug users, or just those?
I've become more tolerant with age. So, I mean, there are people who use drugs now who I can respect. I don't have an issue with. But when I was younger, I wouldn't want anything in common with you if you were fucking with drugs. That's for sure.
Is this a social issue? I mean, did you look at people doing drugs, and then you would actually assume that everyone that does drugs belongs to these type of people?
I assumed
troublesome.
I assumed that I didn't want to have anything in common with what you cherish so much as a junkie. So I guess you could describe it as kind of like almost straight edge. Like I'm not straight edge because I have no problem with little romance. I eat meat, things like that. But I could you asked me about guns earlier, and I could kind of summarize these 2 questions with one story. My Uncle Butch. Not only was he a junkie, but he became violent later in his life. and they lived in Florida. And this also kind of showed me there is a difference for sure between like marijuana use, maybe drinking, and people messing around with hard drugs. Because his thing for a long time was just like alcohol, and he wasn't a bad guy to be around. But when he moved down to Florida and he started his addiction with crack, cocaine, the stuff you hear about in rap songs.
So crack is the worst cocaine you can get?
Crack is like a cheaper version of cocaine.
The cheapest?
Very cheap.
Very cheap.
And that like...
Is it still cocaine?
It's not very pure. I'm not an expert in that.
Right.
But I know that
Neither am I, by the way.
The health effects are devastating from it. And
it's targeted for the poor communities?
For poor communities, exactly. And
mostly black men?
No, go down to Florida. You'll see plenty of white people.
Doing crack?
Doing crack, methamphetamines, stuff like that. And you can also see that when crack started to like hit the streets, crime just went nuts because people go crazy. And this uncle, long story short, pulled out a gun and he put it in my face when he was high on crack. And I thought that he was going to murder me and my cousins. And I didn't know him to be a murderous individual.
Right.
That was my Uncle Butch.
Right.
So it didn't make sense.
Butch?
Well, his name is Melvin, but Butch is kind of shorter. And he was the sweetest guy. He was great at cooking. But when he got on those drugs, man, it was like, funny thing for an atheist to say, but it was like he had no soul, Right. It was like talking to a lizard or something. And, I'm fully traumatized by the time that I spent with him when he was in that condition because he turned violent and they locked him up.
You would never say that he was violent without drugs?
No, I wouldn't say that.
I think it's comparable to alcohol because there are people, I'm not one of them, that when they get drunk, they turn into a completely different person. And then you will have people saying that it's not a completely different person. It's just him, that version of him that was hidden very, very deep inside that just, surfaces after drinking. And I don't know if that's the case because I used to think that way, but I don't know if I don't think I think it right now because I think people can change in a,
like a light switch.
Very vivid way.
Yeah,
with alcohol and drugs, that to the point they would they won't recognize themselves.
Plenty of people become monsters, from alcohol. But I think what
makes you take the drug in the first place, or what makes you drink in the first place? It's not. I don't think it's.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it's just something to loosen up.
Yeah,
I think it's deeper. I mean, you must be lacking something to drink a lot or take strong drugs.
I do believe that it's in some cases hereditary, and that's kind of a foundation.
Can you actually change the word to something else?
Hereditary means that you've inherited the traits genetically.
Oh, right. Okay.
From your ancestors. And
so it's from the word heritage? Hereditary?
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. And in the case of this uncle, I'm sure, I think that if I were so stupid as to try doing drugs or drinking, I might easily become trapped as an addict because all I have to do is look at my lineage and look at all the individuals who have fallen from this. And if that example is not enough, you can look at society as a whole. I mean, I think most people have family members who've suffered from addiction. Maybe I was more sensitive to watching the human decay as a result. But the thing that happened with my uncle in Florida just gave the strongest confirmation I could ever need that my intuition to stay away from substances was a good thing for me personally. I've matured to the point that I realize there are people out there who can use their substances responsibly, and I do my best not to be judgmental, of course. But if I look at the context of humanity in a whole, I don't subscribe to that idea that everything is for people. You know?
No, me neither. But the way I see it is actually deeper. And what I said before is there must be something you're lacking that makes you take the drug as an escape from reality into your enhanced version of reality where you enjoy it actually. Because if every day of your life is miserable, then isn't it tempting to take something that makes it awesome just for a while, and then this while makes it twice as long, and so on, and it becomes your life.
Sure, but there are things that you can achieve without substances that are pretty awesome,
but they don't have this effect. I actually met someone last week who told me that he did cocaine once, and I asked him what's it like, and he said that it just makes you feel good. It just makes you feel good. You still have everything under control. You're very aware of everything, but it makes you feel good. And then he said that, and I'm not doing it anymore. But isn't it tempting for a lot of people?
Is it the drug, or is it the context that makes you feel good? Because
what do you mean context?
I doubt
it's a chemical substance.
But I doubt that he was using it alone. He's probably at a party. He's probably with people who he thought was cool, respected, whatever.
Right. So you think it's a social drug?
My youngest brother, he has an interesting theory about potheads.
So smokers.
He says that people who smoke marijuana, they're not losers because they smoke marijuana. They're not even stupid because they smoke marijuana. They're just stupid losers to begin with.
Why would he assume that they're losers or?
This is the stereotype.
Is it?
Yeah, of course.
In America,
maybe it's different
Poland?
Here in Poland.
I think it's different.
Think about it. You're sitting around all day smoking marijuana and playing video games. You don't have a job.
Yeah, but what you are referring to is potheads.
Potheads, exactly. And not people who casually smoke.
Right.
I'm talking about people who like their thing.
No.
Is to smoke, but
that's a different thing. If this usage of drugs actually influences your life in a way that it changes it completely.
Yeah.
From like working men to sitting around a house.
No, but that's the thing. His concept, and I kind of agree with him, isn't that those people changed because they did the drugs. Those people were not ambitious to begin with. Therefore, they all sat together as a commonality. And it wasn't the drug making them stupid. It was just their lack of individual development in the greater scheme of life.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So like the drug is an element of that, but really the thing that has held them back.
Doing the drugs makes you not being able to develop as a person because it keeps you in that level of not being, ambitious. But I don't think being ambitious is a trait that we all should share.
The fact is that they weren't ambitious or they weren't prone to self-development in the first place. So even without the drug, they would probably be sitting at home and not growing. That was his point. That was his point.
Yeah.
Because I suspect that he likes to smoke from time to time. He knows that I'm judgmental. So he's looking for a way to kind of, diffuse the emotion between us. But that's fine. He's ambitious. He's studying. And again, like I really believe in people having the freedom to do as they please with their one life.
Yeah.
And
have you heard about this experiment with the rats on drugs?
No.
So I don't know if I remember this thing correctly, but from what I recall, it was an experiment where they placed a rat in a cage and it was empty. So the rat didn't have anything to do, and he became pretty depressed over time. So they put 2 bottles. One was with pure water and one was with water and cocaine. So when the drag was in the cage and he had nothing to do, no other rats to
Socialize
get along with,
yeah,
and socialize. He would drink this water with cocaine, and he would die eventually.
Mm.
And then they repeated the experiment, but then they filled the cage with all these toys for rats, and they made it like a zoo, like a park for rats.
Yeah.
They put other rats in, and you could say that the rat was pretty happy. And again, he had a bottle of water with pure water and one with cocaine. And all the rats were drinking the pure water, and occasionally they drank the water with cocaine, but never to overdose.
They just spiced it up a little.
Yeah, just for funsies.
Look, you just...
Doesn't it prove in a way...
You just answered your own question.
Yeah,
you just answered your own question.
There must be something that if you're disconnected from life, if you're disconnected from other people, and I mean, if other people make you feel like you don't belong here, you're not welcome, we don't like you, there's something wrong with you, that disconnects you from other people, and that is, I think, the worst thing for people. The girl that was on previous podcast said that she did an interview with the nanny. I mean, not nanny, like a grandma. Mm-hmm. Is it a word, nanny, for a grandma?
A nanny is a caretaker who works for you to take care of it.
Isn't it a word like nanny? She's my nanny.
Maybe.
Whatever. And she said that happiness for her is every moment that she spent with other people.
Yeah.
And sadness is every moment she spent alone.
Yeah, but you've just so perfectly and eloquently answered what I couldn't put into words with this analogy about rats. And when you think about it in those terms, people becoming addicted to substances because they were put in the cage without the toys.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty fucking sad to look at it that way. But then again, I'm right now, my life is very good. Mm-hmm. And even when I lived in America, you know, there were a lot of good times, and I feel very lucky and grateful for that. But in many regards, you know, I feel like I came from the cage without the toys. And perhaps the thing that saved me from getting involved in, you know, like drugs, for example, was compassion for art, was music. And I really obsessed about those things. And I think that helped fill the void that maybe other people would fill with these substances. I mean, the people who I went to school with, most of them right now, like for a period of time, not my high school or anything, but the people who I was in grade school with, most of those kids are either dead or in jail. And you couldn't imagine how strange it is to be here with you, or to have the opportunity to not forget about live in Europe, but even just see Europe. You know, when those kids, even had they made it to adulthood, they wouldn't even know where Europe was on the map. They wouldn't even realize what they were missing. I feel like beyond grateful that somehow I found that path out of it. You know, I had help, of course. My mother fought hard to improve our situation, but it's when we started the show, you asked me, so how should we describe you, Ryan? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, when I go on TV, they're like journalist, musician, managing director, and I have a lot of titles, but I mentioned one, dyslexic bastard. And it's kind of ironic. It's kind of playful. But if I get back to the foundation
of who I am,
you know, to some degree, that's where the road had started. And the dyslexia thing is probably the most harmful bit of the whole story. You know, that's what fucking put me in the cage without the toys. And the other kids in that situation, you know, they didn't get out. Long story short, when I was in second grade, the teachers noticed that in some regards I was not developing to the pace of the other kids with my education. looking back on it, Wojtek, I suspect that it was due more to the fact that my parents were going through a divorce, but they tested me rigorously. And they determined that, my mother tells me anyways, because I was kind of little, I didn't really remember much beyond the test. And they tell me that your son has a high IQ. That's the good news. Bad news is that he's dyslexic. And back then, dyslexia was like a big, like, oh shit, this is bad. You know, now it's whatever, everyone's dyslexic. But back then, to receive that on a test, the state would essentially, to a small degree, institutionalize you within the school. They would put you in what was called the LD class. LD stands for learning disabled. The kids called it the small class or the retard class. And while it's from the perspective of an adult, that might not seem like a hard thing. Dude, in that class was nothing but weirdos. I'm talking about, there was one kid who I don't even know what was wrong with him looking back. I think he was actually mentally retarded. There were people who were severely autistic in there. There were people mostly with behavior problems.
And you.
And then there was me, you know? And when I realized I was in that class, from the perspective of a kid, you think, well, I have dyslexia. And now I'm in this class. I am fucked. I am fucking retarded. And that was my reaction. And when my mother noticed,
how could you be retarded with high IQ? How does it work?
Well,
you know,
I was dyslexic.
IQ
I'm talking about the perspective of a child.
Right, but how can you label someone retarded with high IQ? Is it like a savant thing?
The children label me as retarded.
Oh, so
teachers label you as dyslexic, but the name of the class was the learning disabled class, like publicly.
So it's a case of being ostracized.
Beyond ostracized. And so my mom noticed that I was having a really hard time. I was like 12 years old, basically want to kill myself. And she sent me...
Like literally?
Pretty much. It was horrible, Wojtek. I mean, it was... Every day at school was basically like going to a war. I mean, the class was mixed with kids from different ages. So you also, like, you had kids in there that were younger than you. You had kids in there that were older than you. The class was in the basement. There were a lot of little details that to a child makes you feel really bad. But this is kind of funny. My mother, she wanted to show me that you're not retarded. You're very capable. And you're in this class because you get more attention and you learn more. So she sent me, this is actually very funny. She sent me and my brother, who was also in a class like that, to work with mentally retarded people. And she would drop us off. We would go in and then we would do like all the activities with them. So the people running the thing, I guess, didn't realize that we were there to help out, but they were like, thought that we were mentally retarded as the rest. So my mother sent me to this thing to convince me that I'm normal. And so I was like in school at this small class. And then after school, I was going to this, like mentally handicapped club. And I was doing all the same activities as people who were like drooling and couldn't feed themselves. And so it was a very confusing time. And thank God, if he exists, or she. This is testing my atheism. But thank God, at a certain point, my mother realized my son needs to get out with this. My only actual friends were Mexican gangbangers who had a drug factory, like a marijuana factory, in their garage. Those were the only people who accepted me. And I almost joined a gang. I was like it could have easily gone the wrong way had my mother not gotten me the hell out of that class.
How'd you get in touch with the Mexican gangbangers being a dyslexic bastard?
Well, they rode the school bus. They lived near me.
And they
were nice to me. Yeah, they were great.
When no one else would?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They embraced me.
That's the path of going the wrong way.
They were in that situation because of poverty. Well, there was also poverty.
But
we were also very poor.
I'm asking about something else. If you're being ostracized by your community and your peers, and they say that, we don't like you, we don't want to hang out with you, you're weird, that's the thing we discussed earlier about being disconnected. And then it's very easy to get in touch with people that would just open you with open arms, greet you with open arms, like Mexican gangbangers.
Well, I don't know if it's easy or not, but in my case, those were the people who were kind to me, embraced me. I lost my virginity to a Mexican girl.
At what age?
Too young.
12?
Way too young.
13? 14?
Dude, my wife's going to kill me.
Okay. Okay. Let's assume it's 11. Let's assume 11.
Let's just say, no, I was older than 11, but I was younger than 13. And you can imagine the rest. But these people, you know, they were really...
I was more than 20 when I lost mine. I'm not going to say how much. But
well, you weren't around Mexican gangbangers, so...
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't.
Anyways, my point is telling you this story. My mother saw where the path was going, and she fought the state to get me out of there.
How long did it last, you being in...
That was 4 years of my life.
4 years? Wow.
Yeah. And when I got out, there was one little detail. All those years, I hadn't learned much about reading and writing. I learned more about fighting and being humiliated. But there were little things like, you know, you're in class and the teacher's like, Władek, stand up and read whatever sentence. Mm-hmm. Dude, I would stand up and be scared to death because my reading was so shitty. Oh. My reading was so shitty when I was in 7th grade.
Can you read now?
Yeah, I can read now. Of course I can read now. I mean, point is, I didn't have reading issues because of dyslexia. I had reading issues because no one taught me how to read. And it makes you think about how many kids are behind academically and just simply were not taught these basic things. And that's why if you see someone with grammar issues, spelling issues, reading issues, it's not their stupidity necessarily, but it can be out of the difficult system. And I think that the state received extra money from the federal government for every child that they would have in a class like that.
Oh, and that's so the loop we made with the prison.
Yeah, and so the school, you know, they were happy to get kids in there, but it fucking destroyed my childhood. And for the people who I was in that class with, it destroyed their life way more because most of those people don't have their life.
And this is weird. It doesn't make sense in a way because if you're having difficulties reading, being dyslexic, wouldn't they make it as an effort to, you know, focus on that and instead of not, you know, teaching you to read at all?
But you can't if you have a class with problematic kids who have behavior problems and different needs.
Right. All right.
So you end up just not learning anything, basically. And
what would you do all days?
There were... stab each other with pencils.
Really?
Yeah, there was always something, you know, not right going on in there. The teacher would try to give some curriculum, but it wasn't really working out.
Did you have tests?
Yeah, there was like a curriculum, but the kids didn't really go along with that too much, you know, and everyone in there also felt
so it was more
humiliated for being in there.
For children?
Yeah.
In a way?
I don't know, man. It was the learning disabled class. That's the best way. The name of the thing describes it best for what it was. But I'm really happy that today they've learned, because I'm not the only one who's noticed how bad things went for those kids. They don't do that anymore. They integrate these special needs kids into normal classes, and they provide them extra support. So, being labeled as dyslexic in America anymore is not really a big deal. It won't end you up in that situation. It'll end you up with a little extra support, and then you can go on with your life and maybe become the managing director of a company.
Right.
You know, it is possible. And I know that I heard that in Poland, it was also kind of like very stigmatic to be.
Was it?
I don't know.
You know, right now being dyslexic is like nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. not liking math. It's like, I don't like math. It's like, okay. It's like, I'm dyslexic. Okay. I mean, I don't know how serious the condition can be for someone, because I think it can be pretty severe.
Yeah.
But when someone gets labeled dyslexic or having like a mild condition, I don't think it's that much of a problem. I think you have additional 30 minutes on your tests and Matura, but I think that's it. That's just it.
I think standardized tests are bullshit anyways. Like every individual test differently. So it's hard for me to understand how you could truthfully evaluate.
How would you do it differently? Because if you were to individualize the tests, then you would have to do a test for every single student.
I don't think people would like the way I would do things, but I would just give full admission to universities to everyone who would want to attend. Everyone would get A's or 5s, as you call them here in Poland, and then life would evaluate you with the real grade. Do you know what I mean? Okay, doctors and lawyers,
right?
Different kind of exception. But if you want to work in the humanities or do something that is not like life or death critical, I really do believe that you're going to get your grade in the school of life. You truly will. Dude, I don't know if this is public, but you dropped out of university, didn't you?
It is public.
Okay.
I mean, I dropped out. No, I mean
the fact that you didn't finish school.
After 3 years.
Yeah.
So that makes me having the higher education legally. But it's called bachelor.
I have the same thing.
And I don't use it that often. Actually, not at all. I don't know where my diploma is. It's probably somewhere in the house. But But it's not. I'm far from saying that higher education doesn't matter and that people should drop out immediately and do what they love. It just doesn't work like that.
That's not what I said.
I know. I just I said it a few times. A couple of years ago that you don't have to finish college to have a good life, and of course you don't.
If you're Władek Markowicz or Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, then of course
even if you're Władek Markowicz, because there are times, and more frequently than ever right now, where I sit and think, what the hell am I doing in the life? Is it just staring at camera and doing shows? Is it my life?
Yeah.
Is it something worth calling a profession? I don't think so. I mean, what I did, I drifted from college to do my thing, and I guess someone would call it going to pursue your dreams, whatever. But I think what we are experiencing right now is a lack of real authorities. I mean, people who are kind of I guess drogowskaz. Drogowskaz? You don't know what drogowskaz is?
I don't know.
Who would point a way for us to, who we could follow.
Okay.
And
role models.
Role models,
how's
right?
it in Polish? Drogowska?
No. Drogowskaz is the signpost that shows you right or left. What's it called? Signpost?
Signpost.
Maybe.
We don't have a metaphor like that in English.
Maybe.
We say role model.
A role model.
Yeah.
And, there are a lot of people who are role models for others when they shouldn't be. I may even think me included. And
you go too far with that.
Maybe the quote for that is awesome, and it is, "Don't follow me, I'm lost too."
I like that. That's nice.
It's not mine.
Władek, I think that you're a really good role model, honestly, because you can sit here. I don't know how many people are watching this. I don't know how many people will watch this, but through your platform, I've just shared deeply personal experiences, And yeah, there are a lot of people out there who might not understand, but if there's one dyslexic bastard who might sleep a little bit better after hearing that, yeah, other people have been down the same road, it was totally worth it. And had I had something like that when I was going through it, I think it would have been different, honestly.
Like someone saying, I had the same thing?
Definitely. If someone's successful.
Mm.
If someone's successful said I'd been down that exact same road,
And it
would have given me courage.
Right.
Definitely. But what do you see when you turn on this TV? You see plastic pop stars full of money, full of fame, and not much integrity necessarily. It's uncommon that someone would admit that their uncle almost shot them. Or you know, I didn't tell the stories of my father, but that the father died of alcoholism. But that my entire family had been arrested at one point or another. But I think that this is necessary for a few people out there.
Right.
And this is kind of what motivates me from the beginning to go into arts and media.
To share your stories?
I wouldn't even say to share my stories, just to achieve connection, you know? And this is like...
and deeper than the
my black
of everyday life?
Achieve connection with people who need connection. Like, if you watch Punky, it's about 15 million views. Every
Really?
month. Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of views.
I think that's more than I have.
It's a little bit more than you have
a little bit more
right now.
But not too much.
Especially on this particular video with me.
Right.
No, but if you watch Punky, I'm not creatively involved in that project, but I financially produced it. I helped bring people together to make it. You know, Archer, the guy who I worked with, put together the first Punky crew and the lineup, and we do a lot to facilitate it. And yeah, whereas financially, it's really good to have something like Punky for our business. The real reward in it for me is the fact that out of those 15 million views in the month, there might have been one person who really needed to smile and was able to, you know. And so working with like Grzegorz Dakan, I guess we have to call him on the internet. Man, that's a honor for me. I love seeing artists do their craft. And that's why I'm so happy, like when I see people recognize you when we're walking on the street or something. It's like the verification that sitting here, talking to this camera, feeling alone, actually you were not alone. You made an altercation in someone's existence, even if it was small. And so like what you do, I envy it. I respect it.
Cool. Thanks, man.
And I'm happy actually tonight to be a part of it.
Thanks, man. I'm happy too. And
pretty special.
Thank you for coming on the show once again. But you know, about sharing your stories, I think when you want to do it verbally, in a very direct way, like just sitting in front of camera and saying what you have in mind, or like sharing your stories about your family and stuff. I think a lot of people would assume that this is some sort of complaining about your life, that, oh, I had a very bad life. But at the same time, if you were to embed this story in lyrics, it's perfectly fine. And everybody loves it. Yeah. So there's some weird thing going on with music and lyrics that it doesn't get recognized as directly as a speech is. So you can actually say everything you want in lyrics and get away with it because it's art. But if you do the exact same thing, I mean the exact same thing, use the word for word without music in an interview, it gets twisted. It gets misunderstood a lot. It's really weird.
That's actually a brilliant observation. If you search for some pictures of me when I was a musician, I think that most people, if anyone listening to this knows who I am to begin with, what they probably don't realize is that for the first 10 years, I was playing music. Maybe it's better to search for Let Me Introduce You to the End. And as a lyricist, what I always wanted to put across was the most brutal honesty I could find for the reasons that I described earlier. And now I can't make my living as a musician anymore. Since like 2007, no one bought CDs. It became much harder for a small band like mine.
But you did tour
to get
across Ukraine.
Oh yeah, we toured a lot. We toured in Poland, in America, in Ukraine, but I became a father. I wanted to be present in my kid's life, and I wanted to provide for my kid. So
and you couldn't do it with music.
No, I couldn't. It's really, especially doing English language music, living in Poland, it's pretty hard to. And I didn't do pop music. I didn't do like commercially friendly music.
Right.
I did
I know what you did.
music. Yeah. So
it's dark.
That creative outlet, I try my best whenever it's possible in Kult America to put the feeling of the lyrics I would have made and to let me introduce you to the end record into the videos themselves, where possible. And I think it shows in many places. People are always telling me like, man, you exaggerate too much. You're too dramatic. You're always exaggerating too much in those videos. Yeah, because we have these long, and it is a little bit ridiculous.
I think it's the same thing with me. I think that's one thing we have in common is this. It may be over exaggeration.
Yeah,
but I know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of people saying the same thing, and I don't know what's the word in English. It's called pathos in Polish. So this it's when I try to over dramatize the situation.
Yeah,
dramatize, whatever.
Yeah, exaggerate.
And I viewed it the same way when I did my videos. That I would just sit and spill my heart out, and it does seem kind of phony for the viewer, because what the hell are you doing? You're just sitting in camera, which you yourself pointed at you, and now you're supposed to be speaking from the heart.
Yeah,
are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Because I don't think people are used to receiving this sort of thing. Although there's this video I did on being an introvert, and I think it has 500,000 views right now.
People like that video,
and people like that video, and it is just that. It's me pointing a camera at myself deliberately, and then saying everything that I think you just did with being dyslexic. And what I did is just say that when I was a kid, I felt alone because I just didn't want to hang out with the cool kids.
Yeah.
That's it.
This thing about you, people remember you from Lekko Stronniczy. When I met you, if I can be honest here.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I thought you were a complete jerk off.
I know, you told me that. And I think you're the
I
only
love
one.
you, dude. You're like one of my best friends right now. But when I first met you, I was like, all right, this guy Carl, he's cool. He's nice. I like him. I could talk with him. But Władek is fucking full of himself. I mean, that was really my impression. I didn't dislike you, but I could have never imagined who you actually were. And
really?
I think by you
not
bringing
not in your darkest dreams.
Not back then. No, because you seemed so surface. Like I was like meeting. You know what it was?
It was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
5 years ago. It was like meeting the guy in the video.
I think it wasn't an act. I think it wasn't an act back then. Because first of all, I would say that the word being the most important back then was insecurity. I think I was insecure. And then I acted out as this supposed to be cool guy or jerk.
Like the famous guy from,
I don't think I ever acted as a famous guy. Maybe I did. I don't know. But
maybe that's too hard to admit.
Maybe. But one thing I know for sure is 5 years ago, I had no connection with myself. Like who I actually am.
Yeah.
And I think I'm still struggling with that today. but nonetheless, I think it's much better than it was 5 years ago.
Well, I love, this is what I'm about. On air. I love it. And I haven't watched every second of every episode, but I really admire the fact that no matter who you've been with, it seems like you've been trying to put yourself across raw and real. And I don't know, of course, how that's going to work for you publicly. I hope that you'll be the Joe Rogan of Poland, but
I doubt it. I think I lack personality.
Yeah.
Which other people have, but you know, that's okay.
I don't know. I don't agree.
Okay. But like, I think that's enough with the
you want me to get off the topic?
Sugarcoating of ourselves.
I don't know. No. That wasn't really too much sugarcoating.
I think it was.
I think that I was pretty much direct.
Or maybe.
And speaking of insecurity,
deprecating myself.
You're not the only one. See, the fact that you could admit to having been insecure is amazing, because that's one of the hardest things to admit to. I was thinking about this. This is probably the most embarrassing story that, like, I think back and I'm so ashamed. I think I just have to almost confess it and just put it out there that I did this, but it goes in line with insecurity. You know, I wanted so badly and desperately for my band to be successful. And I got to do some cool things.
Same thing.
I did some really cool things. I played some festivals. I did the CD with Czesław. But the truth is that if I didn't tell you about the band myself, you wouldn't have known about the band. So I always had to kind of accentuate who I saw myself to be. And when I started making my first radio show, for Polskie Radio. No, before Twórca.
That was the word I was looking for. Twórca. It's like, and I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to criticize you. It is kind of sweet how Americans pronounce Polish words. Is it the same way when Polish people try to pronounce American words? And
we're used to it, so it doesn't matter to us.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
So many people speak English with an accent. But yeah, I was like, Twórca, Polskie Radio. You know, that's
how you did it?
That's how I did it, yeah.
Twórca, Polskie Radio.
Jest godzina siódma. Yeah, I did that. But when I was making my first radio show, I was commuting from Krakow to Warsaw by train. I didn't live in Warsaw yet. And there was some cute girl sitting next to me, and she fell asleep on my shoulder. And you know how sometimes that happens, like, person nods off.
Never happened to me.
Well, but you're not very lucky.
I believe you.
No, but anyways, when she woke up, she was really embarrassed, and her friends took pictures of her when she was sleeping. But what I said was truly embarrassing. You know, everyone was laughing, and I was like, yeah, well, and I'm famous too, you know.
That's what you said to her?
That's what I said. And I thought a lot about, why would I say that? Why the fuck? You know, what would possess me?
Right.
I wasn't famous. No one gave a shit about what I did. You know, I could, some people would come to the concert. I sold some CDs, but I certainly was not famous. And at that point, you know, I realized, all right, dude, you have to look at yourself in the mirror. And if you ever want people to see what you do or listen to what you do, then you better do it well. Because that would happen on the train was humiliating. And when I think about that, I'm embarrassed. You know, I regret that I just even, I don't regret much what I say publicly, but I regret that I even told that story because it's so humiliating.
Really?
But that comes down to insecurity manifesting itself in the physicality. And other people, dude, I've seen horrible things. I've seen people be basically abusive out of insecurity. Like, I mean, mine was, thank God I could check it, but some people don't get that insecurity in check. So we all have insecurities. You know, girls will wear like a mask of makeup over their face out of insecurity sometimes. Guys will go to the gym, take steroids, and almost...
I don't think it's a rule for everyone. I mean, girls and guys doing steroids, but I think there is something that works in a weird way, like the exact opposite way. Because I think the more insecure inside you are, the more you will try to hide it. Yeah. So the more cool or controlling type of person you are, or the more you try to appear famous, the less famous you actually feel inside.
Exactly.
So I would actually use this as a test of examining yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm actually speaking probably out of experience and probably to remind myself of this thing that happens. Because happens to me all the time when I behave in a weird way that I regret later.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when this happens, it's sometimes really hard to just apologize. Just you feel like shit, and at the same time, you just don't want to apologize. You're just too proud, and you would rather keep it inside and let it haunt you in your sleeps than just go and say, "I'm sorry, I behaved like a dick. I'm just sorry."
Think how good it is if you can get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm starting to feel better now that I told that story. I've been holding that in for like
really
years. That was like, what, 5 years ago?
That one story?
That one story.
In the train?
In the train.
Wow.
Yeah. I know. I just thought about how pathetic of a thing that was to do, you know? And I can't believe that I did something like that.
How old were you back then? Like 30 or
something like that? I don't know. I don't remember exactly the date, but it was for sure when I had my first radio show. And because I was meeting a lot of famous people, you know, to interview them.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I met you the first time, I think.
Right. Yeah.
And it was cool because I would post up the pictures with them, and it would be
this is me with someone famous.
Yeah,
so at the same time, I'm famous because he's famous, and I have a picture with him.
Yeah, exactly.
So that makes me famous, right?
And in the meantime,
and then someone said, "No, it doesn't."
And then in the meantime, all your friends are like, "Oh, what a douchebag!" Like,
you or me.
Anyone who does name dropping. Like if you're posting up a bunch of pictures.
That's called name dropping.
Name
for
dropping.
Starters.
So tomorrow, when I go back to Warsaw,
mm-hmm.
and I go to my office. I'm going to go to Monica because she'll be the first person I see. And I'll be like, "Yo, Monica, I was on Władek Markowicz on air. Did you see that? Oh, we spent the day together. He made me tea. We had dinner. I'm famous now." And then I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to Olga and I'll be like, "Did you see me? Władek on air. Yo, he posted about me on Facebook. I was on his Facebook. Did you see that?"
Oh my God.
This is what I'm talking about. Like that's not healthy. It's good to be proud. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, I'm really proud to be here. So that is why I probably would mention it to people. But like when people brag, and they haven't really done much of their own, mm-hmm. it gets tiring. And I just didn't want to be like that. I just wanted to have my own kind of mark on society. So, having the show in Twórca Polskie Radio, that was a good one.
And then you have a great voice, by the way, for the radio. Like Twórca Polskie Radio.
Oh, yours is better.
Mine's better?
Dude, I was on the radio for years. And the funny thing is every time someone recognizes me, it's like, okay, I know you from Toshevitnia. I know you from recently Kult America. I know you because you worked for Coma. A lot of different places.
Right.
Almost never from the radio. And it was Radio na Wizja. It was on TV too. Dude, I don't know what was up with that. I think 3 times in my life, I met people who actually listened to that show or told me they did. And so I hope that that's not the same case with the podcasting, but I don't think that it is. Radio's not measurable. Can I get some of that water?
Sure. Go ahead.
It's pretty awesome. So,
oh man, these are some tough stories here. It's like almost 2 hours of the show.
Have you had enough of me?
No, not at all, not at all. And I guess people don't either, but I'm too afraid of
who knows
to look.
It's probably better not to look.
I don't look. It's just like keeping it real,
It's funny because it's good to look because you might see some really nice things that motivate you there, but it can be a little bit hard to get past the blatant aggression or stupidity that can
You mean in the
found.
comments?
Yeah.
The comments. I mean, I actually think the comments can be really helpful and self-examining yourself and becoming more self-aware, I actually think that I'm more grateful than not of getting all the comments from people, not those positive comments, but all those negative. Because, usually I don't remember positive comments. I just always remember negative comments. But you would have to be really, really good in filtering what is valid and what is not.
Yeah,
because there is some valid comments about you, on the web, and there is a lot of not valid comments. So what I mean by that is you can always go and live your life the way you want it and not change. But I think it's a great privilege of getting a feedback from someone else who looks at you at a different angle than you look at yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're not able to see how you appear. And there are times when you want to say something and it appears to be completely misdiagnosed and misunderstood, and you didn't want anything bad to come out of your mouth, and it did. And you need people to tell you that. So I think, the case of Łukasz Jakubiak.
I've heard some things about that.
And there's a lot of comments saying bad things about him.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything positive.
There are positive things, but I think there's two ways it can go. You can either say they're all haters, they don't get it, and I'm pursuing my dream, so get the fuck out of my way. Or you can actually stop and think, is this valid or not? Do they have some grounds? And I think it's much easier to validate that when you have more negative comments than positive. But it is also feasible when you have like two negative comments saying, well, there was this guy like a week ago commenting on my Facebook, and he said like, what do you actually do in life? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do I actually do? I do this, I blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then I stopped and think, what do I actually do?
Well, you're a father.
Yeah.
You're from what I can see, very devoted husband.
I don't know about
That's
that.
all.
I mean, I try to. I mean, this is the same thing goes for you.
Yeah.
We all try. We all fail.
I told you in the car that the way you love your wife inspires me. Really. And, like, I was just...
Isn't it an imagination of you thinking how I would love my wife? Because we haven't spent much time, sitting around and...
It could be, but there's a certain light in your eye when you talk about her that I don't see in many people when they talk about their... Yeah, definitely. And it's a beautiful thing. And like for me, what if we go back to that situation on the train or me not being a musician anymore, it just goes down to becoming a father. And if someone asks me, what do I do in life? This is the first place. This is what has defined my career. Mm-hmm. This is what has defined my ability to basically, work without sleeping much and be in high pressure situations, because I have two beautiful daughters who rely on me and they will need me in the future.
Right.
And so there aren't many challenges that I would like to back away from if I consider them. I could give up my dream of being a musician. I can try to, maybe sneak some creativity into a Kult America video, mm-hmm. or get some vicarious satisfaction out of a punky video that Grzegorz happened to put something deeper in, just knowing that I'm around these people is good. But, when you become a father, and I think people who aren't parents don't necessarily get this, so many things become completely irrelevant.
Right.
That seemed important to you
that I
beforehand.
get. Yeah, that I get. And, it's the same thing with growing up, the same thing with getting old, is you evaluate everything in your life and you see that a lot of things that were important back then are not important at all in life. And the only thing that is important is how you treat other people. Did you say the things you had the chance of saying when someone was still alive, or were you too afraid? And stuff like that. I don't ever hear from old people like 80 and people that are about to die that, oh my God, I wish I did better at this company I had. I wish I had more money when I was 40. I wish I had dedicated myself more to the job I had. Never. There is a case of dreams, pursuing your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is important.
Yeah.
Those dreams that we have, even if it's becoming famous, I think it is still valid. I don't think it's something that should be frowned upon. And people will tell you that, oh my, you're broken if you want to become famous. There must be something broken inside you if you want to become famous.
Most of the famous people I know have something broken inside of them, to be fair.
And what they do wouldn't be possible without that broken side of them, right?
Yeah. Well, and that broken side of them is part of what makes them special.
Right.
It's like...
But even in case of Łukasz and him wanting to be on Ellen, for a lot of people, that would be something not worth pursuing. A lot of people would say, well, what kind of dream is that? And I don't think it's for us to decide or judge what dreams someone should have or not.
I agree with you. And I actually kind of love how bold he is in trying to accomplish those dreams. I don't really understand why you'd want to be on Ellen DeGeneres, but whatever. The fact that he would go to that kind of length and risk his career, it's kind of amazing.
I don't think he saw it as risking his career. Isn't it the same thing with you meeting Billy Corgan? He's an idol for you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be the same thing? Wouldn't you dream about getting dinner with him?
Well, I actually did meet Billy Corgan once.
I know.
And I'm really glad that happened. But I wouldn't have gone to his concert with a big
For people that don't
balloon.
know, Billy Corgan, he's the guy from Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes.
And
one of my inspirations, definitely.
Why is that?
Well, he's from Chicago.
He's pretty bold.
And his I think his childhood was
I don't
quite
know
similar
him
to
like
mine.
this. I remember him like this.
Yeah, more like that.
Yeah.
He's getting old now. He's definitely getting old. But I wouldn't go to a Smashing Pumpkins concert with a big balloon and a phone inside to try and call Billy Corgan. It just, this picture of Billy Corgan right here. No, this one. No, this one. That's Billy Corgan. That
actually their song "Try Try Try" is one of my favorite songs.
That's a pretty good song.
Yeah,
I prefer For Martha.
I don't know that one. And the other one I would say is Disarm.
Disarm is...
Or 1979.
Do you know the song Tonight Tonight?
Yeah.
So I didn't think about that as a sad song until last October. You were touching on my father earlier. As you know, he died.
Yeah.
And
as did mine.
As did
recently.
Yours.
Yeah.
And, you were one of the people who helped me most through that very confusing time.
Really?
We were estranged for over 20 years. So we hadn't been talking to each other. There was no relationship. And, in the back of your mind, you do know that people are going to die. So it's probably smart to make contact with them, get closure, but you push it off, you push it off, you push it off. And then even though someday they will die. When you get the phone call, you're still surprised because you didn't get closure. And I kind of reacted very quick. Like, I got a phone call that he was dead. 4 hours later, I was on an airplane from Warsaw direct to Chicago. I didn't even really know why, but I just went to the airport and I left. And I was listening to that song, Tonight, Tonight, over and over and over again. And man, I had to do my best not to cry like a bitch in the back of that airplane, because the song is about Chicago. The song is about the city by the lake. And there's one line in there particularly that the embers never fade in my city by the lake, the place where you were from. And in this case, embers faded, but the memories were there. And it's interesting how the Smashing Pumpkins, like, just to the core of who I am, kind of could retell so many stories from my life. And when I was on that trip, you know, that was most of what I listened to. And then you told me to listen to that song, Father and Son.
Right, by Cat Stevens.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Shame on me for not knowing that, but I was like...
I had the same experience with Cat Stevens with that song.
We met it was like the Press PL Grand Press Video Awards. And,
where you handed me the award and we...
No, it was the next year.
The next year?
Yeah. But do you have that picture? It's a fun picture. I may
find it.
What's the picture? Grand Press
Video Awards.
Yeah. And you were like, Ryan, what is wrong with you? Like you could see that I was messed up. And you told me to listen to that song.
Yeah.
So I'm at MacFit. Oh, here we are holding it, but where's the one where we're hugging?
Yeah, there's one
very cuddly,
where we're hugging. I don't think I'll find it here. Whatever.
No, you should find it. It's a great picture.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I got the song and I went to MacFit, the gym by my office. And I'm on the treadmill and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and listen to the song. Władek said that it helped him understand some things about his father when his father died.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, I don't do a whole lot of crying in life. Like, it's like once every 5 years kind of a thing for me. But when that song came on, I was running on the treadmill in MacFit, dude, and like just the tears started going down my face. That song is crazy powerful for anyone who has father issues. And there it is. There's our moment. And everyone was like, what the hell?
Really?
You remember that?
No. I mean, I didn't see people's faces.
Because you were a Live 2 partner.
Right. Oh,
and so I think everyone was thinking that I was like, please let it be a Mediakraft partner. And then you came up on stage and I was so happy that you won, because your video was great. You deserved it. And we were already like becoming kind of friends.
Yeah.
So, we were like hugging each other. And
yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. So I helped you during that.
You really
time.
did. You really did, because...
With that song or with my story?
Again, with your story, because I didn't know anyone else who had a father who they had a bad relationship with, which died without closure.
Yeah, I mean, the Cat Stevens song, it's called Father and Son, is just so genuine and so on point as far as father and son relationship goes, in terms of not being able to speak to each other, even though there is a lot of things that you would like to say to each other. And there's this line that I have so much to tell you, but I know you won't understand.
Yeah.
And you keep pushing me away. And
that's how the song ends. He's like, you just keep pushing me away.
And there's
so you want to cry just thinking about it, don't you?
A little bit, but I'm going to hold it.
I'm holding it in too. I mean,
I'm going to hold it because but and it just this song let me understand that being a father is really tough. When you look at your kid and he behaves in this, let's say, weird way, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's really hard to hold it in. So, yeah.
Can you pull up those song lyrics?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you the part of the song that
what's it called? Father and Son.
Father and Son. Yeah. Yeah, I can
Hard to
see.
think.
I can see you're holding it in.
I actually think that crying is a good thing because it cleans your soul.
Okay, so this is going to make me cry, honestly, if I read that.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, people.
Go
this
ahead.
is probably a weird podcast. My apologies. But so it's not time to make a change.
Yeah.
Just relax, take it easy. You're still young. That's your fault. There's so much you have to know. So now my eyes are going to get watery because the thing that made me cry on the treadmill at McFit.
Yeah.
While I was running, I mean, a ridiculous sight is that first line. It's not time to make a change, because I interpret that as being semi-sarcastic. It's like,
I don't actually understand this. So it's not time to make a change.
It's not time to make a change. It's like, basically, we can't face the problems that we have right now.
Oh,
We'll do it tomorrow. It's not time to make the change. And my father died, your father died. There is no more time. We're left with the burdens that we had. I mean, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And this line crushed me. Also, where they say, find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry her.
That's so simple. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. But at the same time, it's so, it just strikes you right through the heart. I don't know why. I don't know why this song is so powerful. I don't know why.
In my case, I can tell you why this got me.
Why?
My 7-year-old daughter, she's like, she didn't know that I had a father beyond my stepfather. Like she didn't even know the situation. She was too young. I didn't tell her. So I had to explain to her that you have another grandpa who's dead and you never met him. And she said, Daddy, somehow I wish I could meet him. And I just kind of get back to this line, find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry her. Like picturing, son, start a family. And when I was in my father's house, I didn't find many of my own belongings. Like he had in his garage,
mm-hmm.
like one box with my stuff. But there was one photo of my daughter Zuza, in his photo album, just with a lot of other photos of people I wasn't there, but Zuza was there. And so, she wished that she could have met him, and he wished that he could have met her, and none of us talked. And yet there I was, sitting in his house, sitting on the couch in the place where he died, with my niece, Zoe, my brother, and we were all there, and he was fucking dead. And I thought, this is craziness. We all had phones in our pockets. We could just pick up the phone and settle these things. And now he would have never imagined that we would be there, and
you think?
Oh, definitely.
That he would come after his death?
I don't think he would ever imagine we'd be there. And
for me, I'm sorry.
Please.
For me, the last part is where it hits me the most, is all the times that I cried, keeping all the things I knew inside. It's hard. It's
oh my god.
Oh my god. It's hard, but it's harder to ignore it.
Yes.
Yes. We got it. If they were right, I'd agree. But it's them. They know not me.
Yeah.
No, there is a way, and I know that I have to go away.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's so terrible. I mean,
I know I have to go away.
Anyone who has a dead father,
and
who had issues with that father, listen to this song at your own risk, because it's brutal. Like you told me, I thought I was leaving with the answer, yes, I'm going to listen to this song. I'm going to understand everything. I'm going to feel better.
Yeah.
And it was worse than being at the funeral. Listening to I mean, worse is a weird word. It was hard. It was really hard. But this song, I have this now on vinyl, and I don't dare listen to it too often, but sometimes I have to.
Because you're at work and you need to work and not getting sobby.
I definitely, I mean, that was the other thing. I didn't have any time really to recover. You know what I mean? Like it was just show business as usual. I went to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did the formalities. We cremated him. We did the funeral. We dumped his ashes. That was
in the ocean.
I think I told you this. No, not in the ocean. There's no ocean near Chicago.
I know. Maybe you had traveled.
But my aunt wanted to segregate his ashes.
In what way?
Like she wanted to separate into a few different containers.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Do you want to help out?" And I'm like, "Nah, I don't want anything to do with that."
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the garage doing this. And it was towards the end of the trip. And I needed to get some distance. But I could hear through the door that my aunts are very loud. And they're like, "Ew, I'm not touching that. Oh, that's gross. Those look like bones." And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, because it's ashes and bones.
So when they cremate the body, everything vaporizes and the bones are left.
Yeah. Apart from bones, and then
they're like crushing it.
Right.
It kind of looks like
that's the ashes.
But his didn't look like ashes. His just looked like crushed up bones. It was scary and disgusting. And so I went in there because I thought, okay, that's my father, so that's hard, but that's her brother. That's even worse. So I was like, I'll do it. And it was very weird that the last contact I had with my father, you know, was literally me sifting through his bones, separating it into different bags, plastic bags, and we dumped them.
Yeah, that kind of sticks with you for the rest of your life.
I'm still processing that. And I remember when he was 28 so vividly. I was like, "I'm scared you're old now, Dad, because that means you're going to die sooner." And he's like, "No, it's going to be a long time until I die. Don't worry." Granted, it seems like that was a long time ago, but it's just funny. I can remember worrying about him dying when I was a kid, and then actually I was the one to order his cremation and sort his human remains. You know, this is not normal. And so I just came back to Warsaw, and I didn't have really any time to recover. I had to catch up on work. I had family things going on. So, you know, I would be doing okay, but there would be moments that like I thought I was never going to get better. You know, I would just be walking and it would hit me. The wrong song would come on. I would think of the wrong thing and it would really hit me quite hard. And, you know, recently I've been really much better in processing it. The hardest thing is, of course, to accept that there will never be closure, but it's a good lesson for myself or anyone else who maybe has unresolved issues with a loved one, that they should definitely resolve these issues, because death, it comes, and you don't, and it always comes as you don't expect it. Like, so I try to take away that from the whole experience, and I think I want to write. I told you this. I want to write a journal or a book about the whole experience, and I think there are people out there who have had similar stories. A lot of people.
Yeah.
I would have never expected you to be one of them.
I guess losing one of your parents is kind of a wake up call for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That makes you to reevaluate your life principles.
Definitely.
And yeah, I think for a lot of people, that's the first wake up call. Like, okay, what's life really about?
Yeah.
What am I doing here? Did I do something wrong? And all these things.
There's also the realization that you're the next in line.
Right.
You know?
Right. So there's this line that I also really like in this song. How can I try to explain? Because when I do, he turns away again. It's always been the same old story. Yeah.
What was up, man? What was the? I don't know how much you can go into stuff like that. But
I think I'm very, very similar to my dad.
Yeah.
And I like to keep things to myself, and I guess he did too. But he did play this song, which I told you.
Yeah.
For me a couple of times.
But he actually played it.
He played it on the guitar and sang it. And when he sang it, he he had almost the same voice as Cat Stevens, which is really weird. And from what I can gather today is through that song, he tried to tell me everything he couldn't.
Yeah.
So that song, which Cat Stevens made, was like a voice for him.
It's crazy how much of your father you can find in you if you look for it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, because I think we all have some sort of heritage that we get from our parents, both mom and dad. And if you have a falling out with one of them, then you automatically tend to separate yourself from them, and there may be things that you don't accept in them, like one or two things. And what I think is, as long as you don't accept them, and it's them that are living inside of you in a weird kind of way, that you can't accept yourself fully if you don't accept them fully.
Yeah.
And I had this realization after the death that I have a lot of things in common with my father. And if I don't make things right inside, I mean, in my heart, with him, even after his death, I'm not able to fully accept myself.
Yeah.
And that was really, really deep for me, like huge, that I'm not actually angry at him. I'm angry at myself, and I'm just pointing at him, even though he's dead.
Do you regret that you can't talk to him? That you can't tell him what you just told me?
Not really, because I think he knows in a sort of a religious way.
Yeah.
That he's just probably happy that I'm happy.
I hope you're right.
But I'm missing him. I miss him. It's not a continue. I miss him.
Yeah, I believe it. How long ago did he pass away?
3 years.
Oh, so it wasn't even that long. You been to his grave?
Not that often. Not as often as my mom would like me to be, because I don't think it's at the grave that he's in, but I think he's more in my heart than he's in the grave.
Of course. But I do think it's special to have a place to return to that's like,
yeah,
that's where
that's something I may be not good at, visiting graves.
My father was cremated, and then it was a little weird, man. We dumped his ashes under the headstone of my grandma. My grandma died when she was 39, and
39?
She was only 39. She died of cancer.
What she died of? Cancer.
Yeah. Cancer's, man, it's bad in my family. And people say he really changed severely after that. And that's what led him into alcoholism and different issues. And I feel funny about it. It's like we went in a cemetery with a shovel. We lifted up this headstone. In America, they're just flat in the grass. They're not like fancy.
I like it.
They are here. It's
I like it.
Nice. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It was cool to see my grandma's grave. I'd never been there. Celestine Socash.
Celestine?
Yeah.
It's a nice name.
I told you they're from, her parents were from Robczyca Góra, not so far from here.
Robczyca Górka.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Robczyca Góra.
Góra, yeah.
Góra Robczycka.
I thought it was Robczyca Góra, but
it's Góra Robczycka, I think.
But yeah, we just lifted up this thing and we dumped out his ashes underneath it. And it seems like not dignified to me, kind of, that the ashes would just be dumped under someone else's headstone. I don't think it was even a legal thing to do, by the way, but I doubt that the prosecutor is going to come after me, fortunately. But it's something nice, even if it's just for now, just for us, right? In like 2 generations, there won't be anyone who remembers my father. I don't know about your father, maybe someone could hear this podcast by some magical coincidence and hear that these people existed. But in 2 generations, they'll all be forgotten anyways. But it's nice for me to have a place to go back to. And that's why I think in my own case, I want to totally plan, even like now, what's going to happen? Would I have a funeral? Like, where's the grave spot? And that's funny to think about a 35-year-old thinking about these, but it's easier for your family. That's for sure. And there's also some dignity for the people who might want to remember you. And so I do regret kind of that he doesn't have like his own grave in a spot, but it is what it is.
It is really weird thinking about death. You know, living your life, thinking about death. It is weird, but I know there is one rule in life that is really good: is do something today that you will thank yourself tomorrow.
Yeah,
and that means not accepting all the temptations you have in life. I mean, not eating, because eating fast food seems like a really good idea at first, but would you thank yourself for that tomorrow? You wouldn't.
Certainly not.
Yeah. So that gives you this time frame of evaluating if it's a good idea or not. And the same goes for everything. Should I resist this temptation? Because resisting temptation always is something that you will be thankful for tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it's really, at the same time, it's really hard at the point where you have to make the decision. And maybe it's the same principle you have when life or death goes. So if life is one day and death is the next day, so do something you will thank yourself after you die.
Yeah. And I totally think about, no, that makes sense. And I think about things in those terms very often. I get frustrated with different topics. Maybe it's business, maybe it's a disagreement with a friend or family member. You have to think about it in the context of what it will mean to you on your deathbed. And for the high schoolers who might listen to this, the test at school, the grade, the cute girl who didn't notice you, meaningless. Totally meaningless in the context of your deathbed. Well, I haven't been there yet, so I can't confirm, but
it's all just a theory, but
it is a theory,
I think
it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it makes
it's a
sense.
Good theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
that's the case about fathers and death.
I hope that you have some subscribers left on your channel after this little
I think so.
Confessional that we did.
I don't know if people are gonna, like listening to English version of the podcast, but still.
Well, we didn't do Ebonics.
We can always do Ebonics. Go ahead and do some Ebonics.
We'll save it for another occasion.
So just do. Please do something with a black people accent.
All right, you put me on the spot a little bit here.
Go ahead. It's just me and you.
It feels that way. Yo, what up?
What up, homie?
What it is, y'all. This Władek Markovich on air. This my boy, Władek, his ass from Ukraine. He my homie.
My homie?
Yeah.
That's how they talk?
Oh, see, when you say they, that seems racist.
Really?
It's slang. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct. But what I wanted to say up on his microphone is y'all best say subscribe to his channel, even if you ain't like me. No, but that's the one thing. If I have to compare you to Carl, Carl can speak some mad Ebonics, man.
Ebonics?
Carl is the only Polish person I know who speaks. Yeah, that's Ebonics. It's like black people slang. But Carl is the one guy in Poland who I know.
Yeah.
He does it. So respect for him.
I should get him on the show and ask him to do it.
If you can get him to speak Ebonics, that would be amazing. Yeah. Maybe I can call in. Can I call in?
What?
Can I call in if you have him on the show?
You can call in,
and speak Ebonics with him?
Yeah.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Really, that's unusual.
You can. Oh, man. There's some deep stories right there today.
I don't really see the sense to go in front of a camera or a microphone to make small talk. Like, I'll do it on the this Pytanie na śniadanie kind of show. You want to talk about the weather? That's fine. I will admit that I don't get an opportunity too much outside of my own platform, but within my own little world on YouTube, I'm pretty confessional as well. And I also don't really like to listen to things that are just surface. So, how's your career, Ryan? Tell me about your successes. Oh, fuck that.
I'm just guessing that you'll have more than one interview with a question of how is your career going? Or, oh, okay, hey, Ryan, can you tell me why would you want to leave America for Poland?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you? Because there's a lot of Poles that would love to go to America.
Those are like the classic, that's when I talk to the press. So what do you like about Poland? Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. But on the other hand, I'm in their house. I'm going to play by their rules.
Right.
I'm going to tell them how I feel.
Sure.
So it's nice to have an opportunity.
Yes.
I hope that your fans, they're probably not too used to this type of conversation, but hopefully the English wasn't too much of an issue, and hopefully there's some relatable content there. And I think, ironically, Włodek, we've kind of answered the question ultimately as to why an American would move to Poland.
Security?
That's because his life was all fucked up in America. And there are a lot of Americans. You wouldn't believe how many Americans are in a hard spot. I actually,
in terms of what? Like
in
life situation?
terms of life, quality of life. Like people die in a disease, can't afford the doctor. People break their arm, it ruins their life because they go into debt. I don't see this happening in Poland.
It doesn't.
People are writing me from America and asking me advice as to how they can move to Poland.
Really?
I don't really encourage it too much because...
Why not?
I kind of want Poland to myself. I'm not a polygamist.
That's an egocentric sort of thinking. It's a huge country, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's my country.
Wow.
And I love it the most.
I don't think you're the only American living in Poland.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Especially if you count Poles who have American citizenship. Then there are seriously thousands.
Yeah, in terms of living standards in US, I just checked it today before our show is that almost 45 million Americans live below the poverty line. Yeah. And that is less than $2 a day.
And I could take you to places that you wouldn't believe. People talk about how hard life is, or how difficult it is to get a job here, and I totally kind of like sympathize with that, and I believe that it can be challenging if you're from a small village to make your way in life here in Poland also. But I could take you to places in America that you wouldn't believe, and it doesn't matter what state you're in. I could take you to these places, and it's an overlooked aspect of American culture, despite the fact that it's one of the loudest aspects in the media. I was paranoid about drive-by shootings growing up, to the point that when I moved to Poland, if a car would drive by creepy, I would look to make sure. I mean, I know it's ridiculous, but if that's all you see in the news every night, it gets you in a certain kind of frame of mind. America is a country with beautiful nature. Unbelievably beautiful nature. People are indeed friendly, and people say Americans are fake. I don't agree with that. I think most Americans are quite friendly and sincere.
You said friendly, and then you said that, visiting someone at his house is not a good idea.
Well, your friend said that. I said going to a stranger's house is a bad idea.
Strangers, okay.
It's a country with more than 300 million people, all from different backgrounds.
So as long as you're friends with someone, it's cool. It's just strangers that have this reserve.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of the same anywhere, though?
Maybe. Maybe.
Polish people don't even refer to each other as you, if you don't know, right?
How would they refer to you?
I'm talking about like formal and informal cases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would refer to you as pan
Mm-hmm.
if I didn't know you.
Sir. Isn't it sir in US?
Sir. Constantly.
Sir.
Americans, we don't do this. So it's like, I think Poles are putting up boundaries in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And the funniest thing is, I never really got that. But recently, I walk into the gym and they're like, people probably think I go to the gym a lot. That's funny.
Right, because you said it like 3 times
muscular.
now.
Yeah. No, that's my life. It's like work, kids.
How often do you go to the gym?
Like 3 times a week. But
3 times a week. That's a lot.
Just to avoid, no, I will be fat if I don't go.
Do you take steroids?
I go to avoid getting fat.
Do you shoot it up the ass?
I go just simply to avoid being fat. So I'm not a gym head. So it is funny that I've mentioned it so many times, but I guess it's a part of my life now. And I walk in and they're like, "Oh, cześć." And I'm thinking, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm a paying customer. Like,
what do you mean?
Like
you expect to be called sir?
I was expecting a little bit more like.
Oh, that's the thing. That's the thing with
you
the
know
gyms.
What I mean?
Yeah, the gym people. I think they have this policy from their employers that they have to treat every client as their best friend,
like a buddy or something.
Like the best friend. Like, oh hey, cześć, dzięki, że wpadłeś.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly.
It's like so annoying. Yeah, I had a subscription for the gym, which I rarely used, but I did have it. And it was like always the same thing. Like, oh, hi, we're so glad to have you. And it's, what's wrong with it? It may be
there's nothing
superstitious, but
I'll tell you what's wrong. My reaction was wrong because there's nothing wrong with that.
Superficial, not superstitious.
Superficial, yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Point is that I guess Polish culture got into my head to some point that this being informal by someone who was much younger than me and didn't know me annoyed me. And so my reaction was like, what's wrong with me that I felt that way? Because she was perfectly friendly and nice. But it was one of those weird cultural moments as an immigrant where I realized that I'm getting a little bit closer to this country's culture than I would have ever expected. You know?
Yeah, and being friendly in the US is probably normal because when I go back and look at it, it's there was a lot of people just saying hi to me randomly in the street. Like,
totally.
Like, hey man, what's up?
Yeah.
And that thing scared me, man.
Yeah.
Because, I wasn't prepared. No one prepared me to, getting these type of greetings on the street. Is it normal? Why is it normal?
In Chicago, if someone came up to me and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" I would think that the next question is, "Can I get $1?"
Yeah.
But when I went down to Miami, people were saying, "What's up?" And then I was waiting for them to ask me for $1. But instead they'd be like, "Are you having fun? Do you like the beach?" Like they were actually just saying, "What's up?" to me. And so it's probably a little bit regional and it depends on the neighborhood. But yeah, there are totally places where people just say hi. Or in New Jersey, it's the sweetest thing.
That is weird, man, for someone, living in Poland.
It is
having that type of, behavior. That is weird.
Yeah. I will totally.
But I think I like it. I think I
Polish
I like it more than
the
hate
mountains.
It. What?
Polish people do that in the mountains.
Oh yeah.
Like when you go to Zakopane, they're all saying hi.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
And they do it in elevators.
Like,
hi, dzień dobry.
That's true. Oh no, it's the weirdest one. When you're in the sauna, right? I don't know if you go to the sauna or not.
I do.
But you're sitting in the sauna, and it took me a while to get used to going into those things naked. Because Americans are really shy.
Why would you want to go to the sauna naked? I always go with the
I have a towel on. Yeah. But in the steam room, for example, everyone's naked. You're not even supposed to bring a towel in there. Took me time to get used to that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is always really weird. Like you're just sitting there, you're chilling out, you're relaxing. And then some dude leaves and he's like, dziękuję.
Yeah.
And I'm always kind of like.
As always, dzień dobry. Dziękuję.
Like I don't really know how to interpret that. Like, are you thanking me or is it just?
I think it's the case of that spot being intimate in a way.
Yeah.
So if you enter an intimate space with other people or a closed space, so maybe the elevators is the same thing.
That's true.
Because it's you're very close to each other.
Yeah.
And you better be, trusting each other that someone won't stab you.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess saying hi is some
Or
sort
if
of
you're naked together.
loosening up.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The other funny thing, my wife, I'm a horrible cook, so she's always cooking. And I love her for that,
I'm
by
actually
the way.
very good at buying food.
I'm a little bit better at buying than I am at cooking, but cooking is a disaster for me. And I always thought it was funny because after the meal, like if we eat together, she'll be like, "Dziękuję." And I was like, "You cooked." But she says "dziękuję" as she leaves the table. So
Really?
To be polite. And I
Do you
always
say
thought that
"dziękuję"?
was strange. Dude, I always thank people for cooking for me. Like 100 times. I've been with my wife for over 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I am grateful for any cup of tea she makes, any kanapka, because if I lived in America with an American girl, that would not be happening. I would be eating fast food.
Yeah.
I'd be eating GMOs.
What's the name of that?
My favorite singer?
Yeah.
John Moreland.
John Moreland. Yeah. So that's the guy.
My favorite
Ryan
singer, everyone.
really, really likes.
I like every time he comes to Berlin, I'm there. It's like 30 people.
Yeah. And he's a little bit overweight.
He doesn't have a Polish wife.
Yeah.
He doesn't have home
But
cooked
that
food.
doesn't look good, man.
You know what makes me sad about it?
What?
That he's the most brilliant songwriter
Yeah.
ever, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's going to live too long.
You-
And I'm thinking about all the songs that will be missed. There's no way this guy makes it past 50.
What do you mean missed? Because, dying early tends to have a good impact on your career, more or less.
Yeah, but I don't care about that. I want more songs from him.
Oh.
And if he dies prematurely,
Mm-hmm.
that might sound insensitive because it's also very sad that he would die. But
Yes.
think about all the songs we won't get. And this guy, he writes enormously brutal songs, I think people should really check out John Moreland. As a lyricist,
And
it's like right up there with Cat Stevens.
It's simple, right? Just
Very simple.
guitar and so
Yeah.
he's a singer-songwriter.
He has one song called Blacklist, and at the end of it, he says, "Maybe I don't have it in me, and maybe it doesn't have me in it. And I never thought about things that way." Like that was the most ultimate way I ever heard someone say something is not meant to be. Because you always think, maybe I don't have it in me. Maybe I'm not capable
And
of
it
that.
sounds like you make yourself as a victim, like
like I'm not capable of that. But what you don't consider is maybe it doesn't have me in it. So maybe it wasn't meant for me.
right.
Maybe it just simply wasn't meant to be. But these American singers like John Moreland, who sing this folk country, they come from a part of the world where people don't get too poetics. So the lyrics are very direct.
Is it so?
Not too metaphorical.
Is it so? Are you
Like a truck driver.
What about Bob Dylan?
Isn't he from New York?
Yeah, he is. Maybe
This guy's from Oklahoma. Those are two different places. Maybe check where's Bob Dylan from,
Bob Dylan.
because I don't want to talk.
Where would you find that?
I believe he's from New York.
Duluth. He was born in Duluth,
Duluth, is that
Minnesota.
Ohio? Oh, Minnesota. Yeah. Oh, maybe Minnesota is a folky place too, but like the South, Texas, Oklahoma, places like that, different deal.
Huh.
I'm not saying I want to go down there and live. That's for sure. But people down there are pretty bezpośrednio.
Direct.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's go back to YouTube, man, because we both take part in something called YouTube.
Yeah.
And you have more responsibilities than I do in life and in general, I think. But how do you see those youngsters, young people. And I consider myself young as well. Maybe a little bit older, but still young.
I think you have to understand that I'm myself, although I appear on YouTube, I'm not a YouTuber. And that is simply because it's a generational phenomenon. I'm technically from Generation X. I was born in 81. You're a millennial, which there are many common attributes between the two of us. But I think that people in my age will have a pretty hard time to really engage and entertain other millennials. I spent over 10 years playing in a band, fighting to make it happen. We slept on hard wooden floors. We didn't get paid sometimes. We ate shitty food. And so any triumph came with a lot of sacrifice. Unbelievable sacrifice.
And that's the way it should work?
I'm not saying that that's the way it should work, but that's not always the way that it works on YouTube. Like what I was thinking, when you click this button here to go live, I thought if only I had an option like that back when I wanted to do music. Right now we could talk to who even knows how many people on different platforms. And I would have literally driven across the United States to play for a room of 50 people. If you were giving me that as an option, if you said, Ryan, you can come to New Mexico, pay for 50 people, we're going to pay you for gas. I am in the car and I'm going there and I'm dragging 5 guys with me. And I probably end up losing money one way or another.
Just to play the show.
Just to play the show.
I think there's a lot of artists in Poland who do the same thing here.
Definitely.
I mean, they lose money on gas.
Yeah.
And just to play the show.
Definitely. But unfortunately, it leads you nowhere. That's the saddest truth. Some people become successful, and I've seen some friends get successful. I've seen most people fail. Now, if you go back to the question you asked about YouTube, I'm enchanted by the idea that you could put up 2 mics and a camera and some lighting and do a show and reach thousands of people. It almost doesn't make sense. So people sometimes comment that, Ryan, why do you have such few subscribers on your channel? The channel that I appear on has almost 70,000
I think that's enough. 70,000 is a lot.
For me, that's a lot, but millennials perceive that as a small channel. If you put it like through the lens of the experience of trying to survive having a band, that's an awful lot of people. That's like that's more than the national stadium, I think. And so the young people who get on YouTube and get success rapidly, sometimes I have the impression that they don't fully understand the awesome nature of the power that they have in that mouse when they click publish. And how people like myself, I mean artists, would have given anything just for that simple ability. Forget about the money aside. And so...
But still, that doesn't make them more successful having that option to click publish, and that doesn't make you a successful artist just because you have the audience online. Because, there's a ton of artists in Poland and abroad.
Yeah.
Who use YouTube and they don't get this recognition I think that they are looking for.
Definitely, but there are more.
So what's the game changer between then and now? If there's still a lot of bands that cannot make a living.
I hate to even say this, but I think it's the truth. I think that the medium of art has changed. For me, art was music. Art was photography. I think for 15-year-old boys right now, and this could be a very big stretch, but Minecraft videos might be their art. Those are their rock stars. The influence is just as potent and powerful. And people ask me, how could you promote like a beauty channel, right? They perceive it as being without any value. If you just take one look like at face value for a channel like that, and the argument that I always give regarding lifestyle content is that the makeup, the hair, this is kind of a pretext for a deeper relationship that the fans perceive to be in place.
Maybe. I mean, with as far as Minecraft goes, I don't think making videos is art.
You don't think so. Wait, no, let me slow you down.
Yeah.
You don't think so, and I don't think so, but society has chosen this.
But I think society should know better, and it's the part where role models should step in and name things and point at things that are worth consuming, even though they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, you get 5 million views on something that is very easy to consume, and you have, 50 people going to see an art show, right? So the thing is, it's going to be like that for a long time, and it's not YouTube's fault or internet's fault that it happened that way. But I just think it's the matter of perspective and calling things and telling it like it is, like Mariusz Max Kolonko. And that's it.
Look up The Fountain.
The Fountain. The movie?
No. The art piece.
Which one?
There was a contemporary art piece called The Fountain. And some people argue to say that it was the first installation of modern art. Basically, it was just a urinal, a toilet that they put into an art gallery to make a statement that art is not necessarily the creation, but art.
Agreed. I know what you're trying to say is that the medium that you use to express something is not as important.
Yeah.
First of all, I think it kind of is for you to have craft in what you do. And the other thing is, what is it exactly that you're trying to convey with your message? And I may be very self-critical about myself, and you know that I probably am.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Thank you. And but when I hear, like, for example, I'm going to have Czesław on Friday.
Yeah.
And when I listen to one of his tracks on the latest album, let's say number 2, it is his type of diagnosing what problems are we facing today as a society, and I don't see that on YouTube at all. I mean, at all. I mean, there are journalists.
Yeah.
There are not journalists that tend to think they are journalists.
I know what you mean.
That just, tell it like it is.
Here's the reason I think you don't see it.
Yeah.
Because the audience for it
is not
small.
there.
I believe the content is probably there, but like you mentioned, the concert might have 50 people. John Moreland in Berlin, when I go in May, will not have more than 50 people at the concert because that's the audience for that music. Like it or not, you make videos about Minecraft. And by the way, you can't fake that, because I've tried to produce such channels in my company. You have to authentically be great at making those videos. That's one of those things that a corporation would have a very hard time doing. We can make punky. Making a Minecraft channel is much harder. So whether we like it or not, there is some artistry that goes into it, and the audience is huge. Look at this guy. What is his name? Blowick.
Yeah.
Doesn't that guy's channel have 2 million?
Yeah, but he's a nice guy.
He's a very nice guy.
He's a very nice guy.
That's my point. the audience for what he does apparently is 2 million.
But let's just not call it art. Let's just not call it art.
I think we have to look at what society calls it. But that is,
if I get awards for what I do,
yeah,
and some people, you included, call it art when I don't think it is art, then I am having very hard time recognizing different things as art. I just don't think, that YouTube is a platform for art. Vimeo is. There's this cool video on Vimeo called Denali.
Okay.
Did you see it?
No.
Oh, it's a mountain.
Beautiful.
But it's called Denali Vimeo. And it's about a dog.
Uh-huh.
But it's really cool. And yeah. So I just, it's not a bad thing. I'm not doing a rant on YouTube, and I'm not trying to say bad things about something that I take part in myself.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that it's good. It's just good for one thing and not maybe for everything, just because it gives you this platform to express yourself.
I get your point. And I'm one of the snobbiest bastards you will meet if it comes to art. Me saying that someone is an artist doesn't mean that I'm happy saying it. But if you look at the influence created in society, look up the definition actually for artist. I'm a little bit curious right now. And this might help us settle. An artist is a person engaged in one or more of many, a broad spectrum of activities related to creating art, practicing the arts, and demonstrating an art. So we could say
check what art means.
So you could say that I should know this. I studied art.
Really?
But, yeah. Well,
did you study
photography?
Art? Oh,
at Columbia
really?
in Chicago. Yeah, I had to take loads of art history. So the point is that you can't really define what is and isn't art. It's objective for you, but society chooses. And Blowick, nice guy, I agree. He has 2 million subscribers. This is influential art, one way or another. What I make, personally, has 70,000 subscribers. Not as substantial. In terms of influence in society, you can like it or hate it, but I think that that's just how it is. And I've been told that as you grow older, it becomes harder and harder to accept what is considered art, like in the contemporary world. For sure. You've never heard that before?
No.
You never heard like, when I was young, music was good.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
It's kind of
true. But I don't think it's it comes from the definition of art. It just comes from this nostalgia thing that you get. You only have one first impression. You only have one chance to do the first impression. So the first time someone touches on a difficult subject, and that may be for a lot of people growing up, because that's the time when you learn a lot about yourself and the world. So that's the time that you presume later on was the best, because you haven't learned that much later than you had maybe earlier. And maybe that is the case for all these, people saying that music before was better than it is today. I don't know. What's your take on it?
Of course, your youth, your memories, and your experiences in young life are going to be valuable to you in a way that you will feel nostalgic. But I don't think that like I have the ability to like new things that come out. There's a lot of hip hop music. You showed me some hip hop music that I didn't even
really
realize
like
was
Kendrick
good.
Lamar.
Yeah.
And actually, Kendrick Lamar is one of those guys that he lived in Compton. And I guess I haven't lived there. I guess it's a scary place to live in.
Yeah.
And, music allowed him to
escape.
Yeah.
He got out. But that's the thing about hip hop. They don't look backwards. They only look forwards.
What do you mean?
I mean, they don't talk about when I was young, the hip hop music was good. They're all about progressing the art form and what comes out next. And that's what's kind of cool about Black culture in America. In the slang that's used, in the music that's made, there's always progression. So this kind of nostalgia, I don't think that it's there with most people. Now, if you go way back to like blues music, jazz music, rock music, Motown music, I think that there's a lot of people who could feel nostalgia for that. But for anyone who grew up on hip hop, it's always kind of about moving forward. I love hip hop music. Like I have The Chronic at my office. It's one of the records that I listen to, a Dr. Dre record. And it holds up today. But the newer stuff that Dr. Dre produced was even better.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen that often, does it?
I think with hip hop music, it totally does. I think it totally does because
is it a
old
unique
hip hop
thing
music
for hip hop?
sounds dated.
All hip hop music sounds dated?
No, old hip hop music, it sounds dated.
Yeah.
Like if we listen to some rock music from the 70s, it's going to sound really good.
It's going to sound dated as well.
Come on. If you listen to like shitty commercial stuff, well, not even. No, most stuff like from the 70s, recorded analog, it's going to sound really good. But if you listen to hip hop music from the 80s, even the way that they rap is like stiff and it's just less rewarding. And so it's all about moving forward. And I think YouTube will be the same thing. There will be trends that move forward and people won't too often look back, unless there's a flashback video maybe, to what it was when it started. Of course, I could be wrong.
I don't know, man. As when you say things like you have to earn your success, first of all, that doesn't happen on YouTube. Sometimes all you need is a personality. And so you have all these people liking you just for the way you are.
Yeah.
And that is awesome in a way, and not awesome also in a way, because you kind of get the feeling that you don't have to do much to earn something in life. And it's the same thing with being a pretty girl.
Yeah.
Or being popular at school.
Sure.
Or inheriting a lot of money. It just, kind of makes you think that you're entitled to something in life. And maybe I thought so myself earlier, that I can just sit in front of the camera and people are going to automatically like it.
Yeah.
Just because I sat it in front of the camera for so long, and there's a lot of people saying, oh, it's so good, that all I can do is just sit around all day and people are going to instantly watch it. And that is just not true.
I think that if that phenomenon, if what you're saying is true, and I agree and disagree because I've produced many YouTube channels and I know that it's very hard to make a successful YouTube channel. Like anything we've made, like Tapowa Dycha, that channel took a long time to get big. It wasn't just overnight, and it's a very big and liked channel. My corporate channel, Mediakraft TV, took us like 2 years to get 100,000 subscribers on that channel. And I'm having a hard time thinking of, who makes hits like just like that? Those Absolute Huya guys, man. whatever they put out is just 100,000 subscribers like nothing. But I believe that they earned it. They earned it by being first. They earned it by making content that's like accessible.
Do you see what you do and what they do as quality content?
I think that goes back to the objective nature of what is art. Do you know what I mean? So for me personally, I don't sit around watching a whole lot of YouTube, but I recognize that it's very valuable to society, especially millennials. And so I have
In what way is it valuable for society to look at a video and what exactly? Like, say, abstrahuję doing something funny. What is the value? It's just that I don't know. My mom called me once and she said that I'm overthinking a lot of things.
Recently,
half a year ago.
Yeah,
and she said that I'm also being very critical about myself.
Yeah,
maybe again, but that doing funny things or something that will be labeled as escapism is also valuable, because there's a lot of people that are not able to change their life situation. They're not able to learn anything, although I doubt that, and that are going through tough times.
Yeah,
and making them smile, what you said earlier, even for a while, is very valuable.
And I can't speak on what cultural value another artist has unless I'm a fan, right? But I have to recognize that if there's 15 million views on a channel in the month, and there's no way to magically make that happen. You have to have good content. It has value.
That doesn't go hand in hand
to society.
Man. It doesn't go hand in hand. You have 15 million visitors, maybe more, on Pudelek. Does that mean that it's valued for society? Or is it a cancer for society?
It might be a cancer for you. It might be a cancer for me, but for society as a whole.
You think everything that is popular has a positive impact? I don't think so.
I didn't say positive impact.
Okay, so it has a value.
But it has a cultural value.
In what way?
It has influence.
It does
in the way that 15 million people go and look at
influence, and that is the problem, because it influences people in the wrong way.
But I believe it's what people want.
Of course, that's what people want. And people don't want to go to the gym. That's what people want. People want to eat fast food. That's what people want.
Yeah.
And I think it is the inconscience of all the creators to know what is your agenda. Do you serve people what they want, which is, for me, fairly easy? Or do you serve them something that they need? And it can be very, very tricky, because you have to justify yourself what people need. And that is also very, very tricky in case of humility. You have to be very... You have to have very little humility to think that you know what people need. But at the same time, it's either this or that. You either give people what they need or what they want. And giving people what they want is kind of hard for me. Because I know that a lot of people want the wrong things.
Yeah.
It's the least it's the worst example I can think of, but like drugs. People want drugs.
Yeah.
Should you give them the drugs that they want?
That is, you put me in a difficult position. I can answer your question in two ways. In terms of what content I personally produce or appear in, I do aspire to challenge the audience. I do aspire to deliver content that is fulfilling to me to make. But that's because I'm doing it as a matter of passion. In fact, if we talk about Kult America, in terms of other channels that I'm responsible for producing or people who I've worked with, I have to be humble in the sense that I can't dictate right or wrong.
Right.
I can't dictate what society wants. In the past, had we had this conversation 7 years ago, I would have given you a very different answer. But I've matured to the point that this world is completely crazy, to the point that it can be hard to determine what is actually good and what is bad.
Maybe
for society.
I may be wrong. I mean, my thinking may be very, very off.
If I could just finish my thought,
Sure.
though, maybe these Pudelic posts offer some relief, some psychological relief. I'm being very hypothetical right now. Maybe it is cancerous, but maybe it's offering the viewers, the readers, 5 seconds of distraction, 5 seconds of calm entertainment, a cheap laugh. For me, it becomes a problem, and I can say that honestly, when people are checking the shit every 15 seconds. Like, what drives me nuts is the way people look at Instagram. It's like,
it's addictive.
They don't stop. I had to erase it from my phone.
Yeah, it's addictive.
Because I don't know anyone who can look at that normally. And you just get this weird urge to check it. And that's a compulsion. A silly video, I have my guilty pleasures. I watch, from time to time, I'll watch Fail Army. I don't think that enhances me. I think that makes me stupid, actually. You know what's going to happen. It's a cheap payoff, but it does entertain me. And I couldn't necessarily argue that it gives me a great cultural value, but it's kind of nice to unwind. It's kind of easy after a challenging day when everything else in life is so hard, you know.
Right.
We were just talking about sifting the bones of my dead father. So looking at a Fail Army video is a nice way to lighten things up a little bit. And so I think...
So the last thing you want to do when you come back home is watching something that enriches you and teaches you about life, right?
Sure. Especially if you work as a cashier for 8 hours and you're exhausted because there was no inspiration. You need to just chill out a little bit.
That may change my thinking, man. A little bit.
Yeah. And in terms of what you do, like you had this cameo, you appeared in Punky recently, and it was so funny. I haven't seen you in a context like that in quite a long time. That is actually really the episode. Weird. It wasn't my favorite episode ever, but like the moment when you appeared, and everyone at my office agreed with that. You were really solid there, and so we could talk about death and drugs and stuff. That's because you have me on the show. Your next guest, if you can joke and be funny as you were in Leko Srunicha, I think that of course you would give great value.
I think I lost it in a way.
Think so?
Yeah.
It's because you're old.
I may be even afraid of going back to that funny me.
Was the funny you, or is that an act?
How would I know? What is the test of me knowing? Is it me or is it not me?
You know, it's people would probably think that we've taken drugs. If they watch this, we're getting a little bit spacey.
What? Maybe.
Yeah.
It's 3 hours and 11 minutes. We can be a little bit spacey.
A little bit spacey.
Because you know, I don't know if people know this, but talking to someone for 3 hours has an effect on your brain. You know, I get a little bit tired.
Yeah.
Not physically, but like in thinking terms.
Yeah, it's definitely, but it feels good in a way. And shit, we could do this without the microphones, and it would be
which we did,
and
2 hours
we
before.
will do again. Yeah,
2 hours before.
Actually, we've been talking for like what, 5 hours now, 6 hours.
Yeah,
we talk too goddamn much.
Pretty much. We should take a break and watch some Fail Army videos. Oh, you know what I like?
Let's definitely watch some Fail Army.
You know what I like on YouTube when speaking about entertainment is H3H3.
I've been watching them a little bit. They're funny.
Yeah, it's not that they're funny. They're funny, and their moral compass is really, really good.
Yeah.
And he's very intelligent.
Extremely.
And he can differentiate right from wrong.
Yeah.
And that is what I like. And he has integrity.
Yeah.
And integrity is something that I think we all lack in a way.
Yeah.
I think we would, I'm speaking for myself. I would like it to always do things that I say I will do.
Yeah. I mean, content integrity is a good thing for an artist to aspire to. If you would allow me to refer to you as an artist.
I won't. Because I'm not. Ha ha. Yeah, so H3H3 is I think my pick in terms of watching something that is funny and also teaches you something about life.
Totally. All right. Pull up Adam the Woo.
Adam the Woo?
You have to show this to the...
Adam the Woo.
Yeah.
Adam the Woo it is.
So this might seem like a really weird choice, but I love this guy's videos.
Sorry. Do you know this joke? Do you know Picasso? No, I don't. No, I don't know him. How many subs does he have?
That's good.
And is there a video you want me to show?
Not particularly. I mean, you can show these videos, but what I love about his channel is he actually has a second channel. He has a vlog channel.
Mm-hmm.
But he wanders around America. Oh, can we watch the intro? Yeah.
The intro?
Yeah. Look at how shitty that's made.
Yeah.
That's made real shitty.
Yeah.
So this guy basically doesn't even know how to use a camera, and he edits all his videos on an iPhone because he's traveling around. He used to live in a van. Now he lives in an RV. But he shows you places in America that you would never find, that you didn't know exist, that you wouldn't care about actually. And he goes into these small creative details. And yeah, his craft might be lacking, but the journey, every day, new video, you don't know where he's going to be.
And do you think it's art?
There's a lot to that. I think it is.
Really?
I do think it is.
Wow.
It's the art of exploration.
Let's agree to disagree, because I think I disagree with that. And you know, we spoke about this I think a couple of times in terms of where YouTube is going to go. Is YouTube the next TV? Which I don't think it is. Basically, because TV has got so much skilled, talented people working for them. They may have less heart and passion that they pour into the work they do. Sure. I mean, they go on the sets, everyone is doing their job, and you don't see that level of dedication that you see on YouTube. So this dedication is the one factor that YouTube guys beat the TV guys. But in terms of the outcome is, it's, oh my God.
Let's do a little math.
Night and day.
Let's do a little math.
Yeah.
What is traditional TV plus YouTube? What does that equal?
VOD.
Netflix.
Maybe.
Have you watched House of Cards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure I have.
Have you watched Better Call Saul?
Saul. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are some fucking skills.
But that's the same thing as doing the TV show, is just different distribution.
And I believe that this shall be the future. YouTube might be a stepping stone, and maybe there will be a niche for this kind of formatting, but it's about transitioning from linear distribution to online.
That's what you called it is correct.
Yeah.
It's a niche. Because you know, House of Cards is an epic series, and I don't think anything on YouTube is comparably close to that. And House of Cards is going to be remembered for the last 20 or 30 years.
Sure.
And I don't think any YouTube video is going to be remembered for the next 20, 30 years. And there's a reason for that.
They probably wouldn't. I bet that one that was like, there wasn't there one guy crying about Britney Spears? Remember there was like a viral video?
Yeah.
People remember that.
Yeah. What's it called?
Leave Britney alone.
Yeah.
Leave Britney alone.
Britney crazy? No.
Crying. No. It was like
crying.
Leave Britney alone. No, it wasn't this. It was It was a fan.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here.
Britney fan.
Yeah,
cries.
that's it. That's the one. I think people could remember that.
You think it's staged?
I don't know, but I think that's the type of YouTube video a lot of people are going to remember as a part of the fad. That was kind of in the very beginning.
Have you seen the BBC interview with the kids?
No.
You haven't seen it?
No.
BBC. I wish we had audio. But there's this BBC guy who's doing an interview. I don't think he works for BBC.
And the kid walks into the room.
The kid walks in, and
That's funny. Look at that. Oh, and the second kid.
Yeah, the second kid walks in.
No. Oh my goodness. Oh, look how stressed he is. Look at the wife comes in.
Ah, the wife.
Or caretaker, or whoever she is.
No. You did good, because a lot of people assume that that's the caretaker or the nanny.
Yeah.
And the conversation got a little heated.
I could imagine.
Because it was his wife. And because of the fact that she was Asian, a lot of people, almost everyone assumed that that's the nanny.
See, that's... When it comes to being politically correct, okay, I get it. It's good to not be racist, and it's good to generally accommodate people's sensitivities.
Yeah.
But I assumed that maybe that was a caretaker because it's a journalist for the BBC. Maybe he is in the financial zone of being able to afford a caretaker. You know what I mean?
I don't think he did all this process in your head before you make the decision, but I assumed that was the caretaker as well. And actually Monica led me to believe that she wasn't. And I think it's the way she was dressed, the way she was acting.
And she was running after the kids.
Yeah, she was trying not to make a noise and not to be seen. But I get that would be pretty offensive for someone, that the whole world would assume that you're the nanny when you're the wife. But I think I wouldn't blame anyone, and myself as well, for thinking that's the nanny. But it does spark an interesting discussion worldwide.
Yeah.
Is why do we think that? And we probably think that because maybe, I don't know why.
No, I thought that was the honest reason I thought that.
Right.
I just thought that he's dressed in a suit. He looks like a well-to-do guy who could afford a caretaker, It's the fact that she's Asian doesn't really, one way or another. No, it's
maybe
in the States. That's like people are with people from all over the place. In the UK, I think as well. So it's not too big of an idea. And even if you were to think that, it's not like most guys dressed in a suit working for BBC probably have a white British wife. I think that is safe to assume.
Maybe.
Yeah, you look scared right now.
In a lot of cases, maybe.
No, but in
not
a lot of cases.
Right.
And if you should assume that, I don't think you should be persecuted because you made a mistake. It's easy to assume.
Well, that's the thing we do without thinking. Is I think we assume without thinking, is that assumptions arise without you thinking about it. And all the assumptions that you have are predetermined by all the experiences you had before. So if you met someone who is Asian or saw an Asian lady in a movie that handled kids, you would think that maybe Asian, maybe I'm reaching, I don't know, maybe I'm reaching.
But even if you thought that,
No,
where
it's
does
not
there
a
have
crime.
to be a crime? Like this whole thing, Americans are confused about what bathroom to use recently
What do you mean?
because we have to be politically correct.
You don't anymore. You have
right,
Trump
right now. Yeah, that's true.
and Milo Yiannopoulos.
But people are trying to introduce new pronouns,
Hmm.
and things like that. And this is where it gets to be too much for me. It's like, if you have ovaries, you go to the gynecologist,
Yeah.
you're a woman. Now, if you identify yourself as something different, you got to tell me about that and not just magically expect for me to
Hmm.
guess that looking at you, or to take the precaution of calling you a they instead of a he or she. This is just like over the line. I think people make assumptions. Our minds are designed in a way that let us make assumptions.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that you should necessarily be punished for this just because you saw a woman 2 seconds chasing a kid or,
No, I mean, it's not a crime. And I'm not going to be persecuted for thinking that. It's just interesting that not only me, but a lot of people thought the same thing.
Yeah.
That why would you assume that that's the nanny and not his wife?
What I want to know is why
is
was
the
he
reason?
working at home? Why were the kids there? He couldn't go to the studio?
It's a Skype interview. It's not he's probably doing it on his laptop or iMac.
Okay, but he's a journalist.
He may not be a journalist. That may
Uh-huh.
be just, a professor from somewhere who's working or not even working, who's just doing an interview for
Can you
BBC.
imagine how cool that's going to be when the kids get older and he can show
Yeah.
the kids that video? Like,
And it's
this was my big
it's so
moment on
funny.
TV.
It's so funny how they walk into the room and
Yeah,
it's
let's
like
see that
almost
one more time.
what the hell is that? It's almost like parading in, like
Yeah, look at. Oh, I didn't even notice that part before.
yeah.
Yeah, and she just wants to. Oh, hi, Daddy.
Yeah, hi there. What you doing?
That's just my kid would do the same thing.
And he's like pushing
And he,
her
pushes
off.
her away.
Yeah,
See, that's what I'm surprised people didn't get mad about.
yeah.
He pushed his
The
daughter
way he-
back.
Yeah, the way
She'd
he
be like,
pushes
"Oh,
away.
hey, sweetie." I love it. I love that part. She runs in.
And then
He's
she's
trying to be
dragging the
composed.
kids. And
And the kids start crying.
the
Of
yellow
course.
kid is on the floor.
Yeah.
And she's trying not to be seen.
And look at that. He's
Staying
closing
low.
his eyes.
Yeah. South
Yeah.
Korea's policies. That's what he's saying.
Oh, that is brutal.
Yeah.
That is brutal. That is a good video. Thank you for showing me that.
And that is quality entertainment.
Yes, news bloopers in general are very funny because
Yeah.
they're always trying to be so, serious and dignified. And then
Yeah.
something goes totally wrong
Yeah.
and they're off the script.
And we all
there's
see that
nothing
they're
they can
humans
do.
and
Yeah.
not robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have that like the way of speaking. They're like, "Good evening, Lisa. This is Donald from Channel 5 News. I'm reporting from whatever."
Yeah.
And it's like a robot's talking.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, when something goes wrong and I don't know, your pants fall off, you're not much of a robot anymore, are you?
Right. Right.
I love it. I'm waiting until you have a moment like that on this show.
Meaning what?
Something goes.
Something goes
brutally
west.
wrong. Something just
South. Why would I say west? Something goes south. Why would people say something goes south?
Who cares? Whatever. Something. Well, because. Never mind.
Yeah, whatever. Ryan, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. And I think is there some sentence that would be appropriate as an ending for the closing?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, looking out the train window and just thinking about how insane it is that I've had this opportunity to come to Europe, and then live in Europe, and then meet amazing people, and now even join an amazing person who I respect very much in front of their audience, and kind of share a moment of their success. Hopefully you still have some subscribers left after this, but
none.
It's for all the hardships, that I have faced, and I guess that anyone faces in life, it's the moments like this one that
Really?
I think you look back on and
They're super nice.
are happy that you had a good friend, good times, and kind of fulfilling life. So this is
That is so awesome, man.
I've known you for a while, dude, and I told you before, totally got love for you, and I love what you do, and I'm a fan of the podcast. So I hope that your listeners will download this on iTunes. That's how I listen to it.
Yeah, let's say that. I never say that this show or this podcast is available on Soundcloud and iTunes. Although you can read this in intro and outro.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so that's why I never say it.
And the last thing before you play the outro and we get off the mic is just that for a very long time I was looking for any way I could to confirm my relevance in Poland. I mean, to feel that I had not only a purpose to be here, but a need from the other side. And moments like this, when I get to share some stories and some thoughts with Polish people who are listening, it really, really helps give me purpose, meaning, and satisfaction in being in this country. So thank you for that experience.
That is awesome. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. And for all those Polish people, which is 99% of you, maybe more. Dziękujemy bardzo za słuchanie. Włodek się już przełączył jak robot. Ryan, jeszcze weź tam coś powiedz po polsku, żeby było wiadomo, że też nie jesteś robotem.
No to widziałem, że trochę męczyłem ciebie po angielsku.
Bardzo dobrze mu poszło, temu Włodkowi. Bardzo dobrze mu poszło.
Tak.
Dobra, trzymajcie się i słyszymy się w piątek. Będzie pan Czesław Mozyl, którego ty też znasz i lubisz. To jest fajny człowiek?
Już od dawna, bardzo fajnie.
Można mu ufać?
To jest jeden najlepszy człowiek, który znam.
Można go wpuścić do tego studia, nie zdemoluje, bo widziałem, że Łukasza Jakubiaka tam zdemolował. Mam nadzieję, że wszystko będzie dobrze.
Spokojnie. To jest wariat, ale będzie
uspokoimy go.
Tak
dobrze,
jest.
No to trzymajcie się, buziaczki, dobrego wieczoru, bo już jest, która jest 22:30. No, do piątku. Pa!
Na razie.
Trzymajcie się.